Yeah, I'm gonna have to start before I even start the stream. I have to refresh my internet and go live. That's what I have to do. But let me just go ahead and continue what I'm saying. So the topic of cheating is a very sensitive topic, but it's deeper than somebody just going out and being with other people in the way that people think, and it's a lot much more when it comes to what you call cheating. When you lose yourself, you begin to lose your identity. This is where cheating happens on an emotional level, and it can happen at the level of the having an affair with someone or being with multiple people at the same time, or two people have your heart at the same time, right? The best example of this is Soul Food. Is that Soul Food, right? The wife was a lawyer, the husband was a musician. He was an artist, he was a creative, she was a practical lawyer. And a lot of us who are artists and musicians and creatives, we have a tendency to attract very practical, down to earth people because we need that as artists and creatives. But what we have to learn as artists and creatives is to learn how to attract a practical, down to earth artist. An executive artist is what we need. It's not that person who's the very practical one. They're not going to get us. They're not ever going to get who we are. The relationship will never work out. Okay. Now, for anyone who's an artist, here we go. So, was her name Faith? Or was that the cousin's name? I can't remember what the cousin's name is. So, names are on purpose in movies as well. And so, he ended up going to these events, playing his jazz music and doing what he did. And the cousin that came around was always at his show because she was doing music too. She was always at his show. She appreciated him. She appreciated his art. She came out there. The wife saw it as, kid shit. She didn't even care about it. And then she also kept going, and she was not supporting him, but her cousin was supporting him. The cousin was giving him all this attention, and of course he ended up cheating with the cousin. What was really happening was the cousin was representative of his love for music and art. Because remember, she was the musician too. His love for that, the muse. It was someone appreciating and acknowledging him and not belittling him, right? Because this goes both ways, okay? I can relate to that story. That's why, as an adult, I get what happened there. And so the wife gets angry, pulls out a knife, and makes a scene. It didn't mean he didn't love her, but she makes a scene without taking any responsibility for the part that you never showed any support for what this person did. You never came to them to any show or anything. Everything was all about you and your family and this, that, and the third. And see, when these type of conversations come up, the first thing I'm going to get called is a goddamn mammy. And I say, fuck you, you're dumb. Because that's not what it's about. If you want to sit here and understand a topic, see, this is the thing. Seeking your ass shall find. But a lot of y'all don't like what y'all be asking about. Y'all ask these questions. The quantum leaping universe give you the fucking answer through multiple ways, whether through a male or a female, and y'all still can't handle what y'all get. So why even fucking ask? Now, to understand cheating and understand what's going on there, you have to talk to that individual person. But cheating is about identity. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and X Pimp is going to go into fuller detail of it so you can understand on that level. Give me a moment. Cheating is never what you think it is. You got to also take responsibility for who you're choosing to be with, what kind of person that you're with, what their life experience is, and what's going to come with being with who you are with. That's another thing. If you are asking for a high value man, that means you're asking for someone who's sought after. If you're asking for a high value woman, that means you were asking for somebody that's sought after. Okay, hold on. This one is the emotional pattern of a man who is about to cheat. Okay? But it's still something to pay attention to. No one ever just cheats. Okay? No one ever, let me just make that clear. No one ever just cheats on you. Okay? As somebody who was polyamorous, okay, who lived the life around people who live that life, I'm here to tell you it doesn't just happen like that. Before that relationship I was in started cheating, he was giving hints through music. He was telling me. And eventually that woman came into his life who he's with till today. You see, a lot of women, if you're right now spinning your head around why somebody you used to be with is with somebody else right now, right? And you're looking at the person that they're with and you're not understanding what's going on there, you were not paying attention to the person that you said that you were with. Especially if you're looking at that person and that person is better than you. You know what I mean? Let's call it what it is. You wasn't looking at what the person you wasn't looking at what you were with. You didn't realize if you had an alpha, a beta, or a simp. The beta and the simp male wants to be with a beautiful woman. The beta and simp male, he does not feel comfortable walking down the street with a woman who's not a baddie. He'll like, okay, this is my wife, this is my kid or whatever, but he wants a beautiful ass woman in his arms. He will sexualize the wife because it's pussy, it's in-house pussy, it's a wife. He will do that, but he wants to be in the arms of an extremely beautiful woman. He wants a baddie. He has to have he gotta have something to write home about. All right, let's get to it. Well, let's dig into this video. This one is really good. This one discusses the emotional pattern of a man who is about to cheat. One second, y'all. I hate silence on the fucking. 1 second.
You ever notice how a man does cheat the moment his eyes wander, but the moment his emotions fracture? Watch closely. This is how it always begins. A man who's about to betray you doesn't start with a decision. He starts with a hesitation. That split second where his mind drifts somewhere you can't follow, and he doesn't pull it back. And here's the uncomfortable truth you already feel in your chest. If you're watching this, you've already sensed it. The shift, the cooling, that strange tension he thinks he hides, but wears like a cheap suit. This is the part nobody tells you. A man doesn't cheat because he's evil, or bored, or desperate. He cheats because he's weak, and weakness has a scent. And the moment a man starts to smell like prey, something in him hunts for an escape, even if it destroys him. Here's what most people don't realize. A man who's about to cheat doesn't become distant because he found someone new. He becomes distant because he no longer knows who he is with you. That's the emotional pattern. That's the rot. And if you watch carefully, you'll see it unfold long before his body ever crosses a line. So, in this video, I'm going to unravel the psychology of a man who is standing right on the edge. Not because I care about his feelings, but because understanding the pattern lets you stop blaming yourself for his collapse. Pay attention. This is where things shift. The first sign is subtle, almost elegant in its cruelty. He begins to perform a kind of emotional taxidermy. He props up the relationship just enough so it looks alive from the outside. But inside, he's already hollowing it out. He laughs at your jokes, but not with his eyes. He kisses you, but only on autopilot. He texts you, but his words now read like a man trying not to incriminate himself. You ask what's wrong. He says nothing. But nothing is ever nothing. Nothing is the first crack. And just so you know, this isn't poetic exaggeration. A study by Dr. Mark Wiseman at the University of Colorado found that emotional disengagement is one of the strongest predictors of infidelity risk. Not sexual dissatisfaction, not lack of attraction. Disengagement, the slow withdrawing of the self. A man cheats emotionally long before he cheats physically. But let's go deeper, because this is where the mistake happens. This is the part every woman misreads. You think he's losing interest. You think something's wrong with you. You think he met someone else, when in reality, he's wrestling with a version of himself he no longer respects. A man who is about to cheat becomes paranoid, not of you, of his own weakness.
I'm gonna step in. This part right here. Listen.
Met someone else, when in reality, he's wrestling with a version of himself he no longer respects.
I hated my fucking life living in that project. I hated it. I was like, yo, let's start a business. This went on from Saturn Return in. Let's start a business. Who's this? What's your relationship with her? Tell me the truth. What's going on with you and her? All right, let's start a business. You complaining about money? Let's go out here and make money. You complaining about the way we look? Let's look better. Let's get jewelry. Let's get our money up. Let's get ready to go. Let's get up out of here. And so it turned into days of arguing about money. It turned into days and nights of arguing about dumb shit. Days and nights of disrespect. Days and nights of me being treated like a mule. And I hated my life. You see what I'm saying? And that is where it began before I met the artist. Okay?
A man who is about to cheat becomes paranoid. Not of you, of his own weakness. He starts projecting, accusing, picking fights over small things. The tone of your voice, the way you phrased a sentence, your plans, your friends. Why? Because if he can turn you into the villain, he doesn't have to feel guilty for what he's already planning in the back of his mind. He needs you to be the problem. Otherwise, he's the one breaking something good. And men cannot live with that kind of self-awareness. They don't have the spine for it.
Now, what happened to me? I look for problems. And the problem we don't have, that's the thing I learned. If you don't want to be there, it's fuck it. You don't want to be there. Okay. But I look for problems. I was like, he's being good, he's being consistent, he's keeping the routine going, he's not breaking it, this, that, and the third. And then that's why eventually when he cheated, I knew he was cheating. But I was trying to find reasons to say goodbye. I wanted a big reason to say goodbye. I wanted to get him in an aha moment to say goodbye. And even though I did, it still didn't feel better. It didn't feel better. But let's get to it.
Pay attention to this part. Right before a man cheats, his empathy drops. Not because he stopped caring, but because caring makes betrayal inconvenient. He can't cheat and feel bad for you at the same time. So something in him numbs. He has to flatten you emotionally, so he can give himself permission to wander. This is why his reactions feel off. Too cold, too rational, too slow, too polite. When a man is considering betrayal, he becomes polite in the worst way, like he's preparing himself to detach cleanly. His courtesy can soften the blow of cowardice. Then comes the next phase, the delusion. He starts treating his fantasies like moral loopholes. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just talking. She's just a friend. I deserve to feel good. We're not in a great place anyway. You've been distant too. He builds a narrative. A story where he is not the villain. He is the misunderstood protagonist, looking for validation in a cruel world. And here's where it gets dark. The more he lies to himself, the more convinced he becomes that he is discovering a truer version of himself. The kind of man who still has options, still has power, still has something to prove. He calls it clarity. It's not. It's a midlife crisis in slow motion. And I know some of you watching this are already asking yourselves, am I imagining this? Am I overthinking? Am I being dramatic? No. This is happening because you can feel emotional absences louder than emotional presence. You feel the places he's pulling away from. Here's the twist he'll never admit. A man doesn't cheat because the other woman is better. She is rarely better. Usually, she's convenient, available, a mirror reflecting back the man he wants to believe he still is.
He was, let me say this. The man I was with, absolutely beautiful man. No denying that. The other guy was beautiful in the way that was more beautiful for me because he was a graffiti artist. And there was something with him that I became that I was not with the one I live with. Okay? I became something more with this graffiti artist because he approached me, right? We worked together and he had told me, he was like, yeah, I saw you and you had your hair, you threw always on your hair in the top knot. And he used to be like, yeah, I saw you and I saw what you had on and stuff like that. And I could tell he was like, he probably wasn't really into that, but energetically he was like looking at me. And he was like, yeah, he came up to me and was like, you want to see my art? Like literally that's what he said. And it's like, oh shit, hell yeah, I love art. And so he started showing me his art and I've never seen art like that before. And because I started to engage with this man and be with this man and talk to this man, and he went to art school and all this stuff, and we talked about so much together, he was not a better man in the sense of what he had. At least that's what he showed me. You get what I'm saying? I only know what he showed me, but I feel like the universe brought that man in my life was because of my Celestine prophecies in my life was because it was for him to just show me you can paint. You are an artist. You're beyond just a writer. That was the message that I had to keep having in my life. Like, you're beyond just the writer. You are an artist for real. You can paint, you can draw, you can do art in a way that that is art. You need to learn what art is. That is why that happened to me with this person coming into my life. Okay.
He's not chasing her. He's chasing the version of himself he lost in your relationship,
Yep.
or claims he did.
Yep.
This is the mistake that changes everything. You think he's choosing her over you. He's not. He's choosing fantasy over reality, simplicity over accountability, ego over evolution. Weak men don't cheat because they can. They cheat because reality asks too much of them. But let's not pretend men are the only ones capable of strategy. Women who understand the emotional landscape, the ones who can see the cracks before the collapse. Those women are dangerous in the best possible way. They don't cry. They observe. They don't beg. They reposition. They don't lose their minds. They upgrade their options. That's why I always laugh when people say women are too emotional. No, they're too perceptive, too aware,
Yeah.
too strategic when they stop doubting themselves.
Yes.
Now, before I go further, if you're watching this and recognizing this pattern in your situation, you might want to pause and subscribe. Because this channel breaks these dynamics down in ways most people are too afraid to touch. You're going to want what comes next. Now, let's continue. Here's where things get interesting. When a man is close to cheating, he becomes strangely efficient. He starts tidying parts of his life he normally ignores. A cleaner phone, a more guarded routine, a sudden interest in privacy, a new password, a new mood, a new silence. He tells himself it's normal, but he's rehearsing. Every secret is a rehearsal. He rehearses the timing. He rehearses the excuses.
There's a dance that goes around inside of you when you start to cheat. There's a major dance, especially if there is some emotions for the person you're cheating with. It's nothing when you cheat and it's sexual, if you even care about it, and you can kind of hide it and be like, oh, we cool. It's nothing like that. It's nothing with that type of cheating. But when it's a cheating that comes from a place of where your life is transforming with this person coming into your life, that's another type of cheating. And for a woman, you can emotionally have to be very careful, because you can feel like you want a relationship with this person, but that person may be lying to you and be in a whole relationship. Y'all both may be the cheaters. That's why you became. But you have to also look at the universe and why this came into your life. And for me, on my spiritual perspective, he came into my life only just because of art, only just because to show me who I am as an artist. And it wasn't, it's so interesting because some people may ask about the sex. The sex wasn't even anything it was about. It was the energy. It was the identity of what I was when me and this man painted together, when he did graffiti. And I saw when he said, I am the king of graffiti. And I started looking around like, oh shit, he really was. This dude really, his fucking tag is everywhere throughout New York City. He's not lying. And he's also a very beautiful, like literally beautiful and likable. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had tons of friends. And he was deep himself as well. And the things he would say about people and life and these different things. And so this person was a mere reflection of what was a part of me and what was inside of me. And that's another thing you have to start looking at too, is that male or that person that you have, especially if it's a male and you are a female, you have to understand that male is, if you are drawn to him, he's reflecting something that's already within you, or something that you want to be in you, or you don't see in yourself, because he is that depth of you. The male is the psyche of your darkness. If you sit here and you see these broads who date dudes that's in and out of prison and shit, that's who that bitch is. You see what I'm saying? And she's dating the worst type of men. That's who she is. Don't you need to get the fuck out of her way. Something's wrong with her. That bitch is dangerous because of what she's choosing. Even if she chooses a masculine woman and it's the same thing, she's still dangerous. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, let's get to it. I'm gonna keep pausing and talking, y'all, because this is copyright. Ah, shit, hold on. This music is very fitting right now, like this beat. I wish I could save it. Hold on, y'all. Why is it so high?
He rehearses how to compartmentalize you, so he can wander without the guilt bleeding through. A man doesn't cheat impulsively. He cheats procedurally, step by step, lie by lie, omission by omission. People think cheating is a moment. It's not. It's a system. And by the time he physically touches someone else, the betrayal happened 100 tiny times in his mind. Now watch this next pattern, because it's one of the most consistent. Right before a man cheats, he'll become overly helpful, suddenly attentive, randomly affectionate. He might buy you something small, cook dinner, act thoughtful. Women think this means he's trying again. No. It means he's cleansing his conscience. Guilt makes men sentimental. They don't fix themselves. They perform goodness, hoping the performance cancels out the rot. This is the phase where he tries to convince himself he's still a good man. He becomes gentle because he knows what he's about to do isn't. A man's kindness spikes right before his loyalty collapses. Then, something else happens. The comparison phase. He starts comparing you to a fantasy version of the other woman. Not the real woman, the fictional one he built in his head. He'll magnify your flaws. He'll minimize her flaws. He'll rewrite history to make the relationship look more damaged than it is. And if you ask him what's wrong, or why he's acting strange, he'll accuse you of being insecure. That's projection 101. When a man is guilty, he calls you paranoid. When he's hiding something, he labels you too emotional. When he's lying, he gets defensive. When he's slipping away, he says you're too much. This is not intuition gone wild. This is your nervous system reading the truth he's too cowardly to say out loud. But let me show you the darkest part, the one most people never see. Right before a man cheats, his world becomes divided. There's the daytime version of him, structured, predictable, performing responsibility. And then there's the nighttime version, the version that wanders mentally, the version that scrolls, searches, imagines, the version that entertains the idea of a life without consequences. He becomes a man with two identities, and that split is what destroys him. Most people think cheating starts with lust. It doesn't. It starts with self-deception. A man who is lying to himself will eventually lie to everyone else. This split personality leads to another common behavior: emotional buffering. He stops telling you even the small things, how his day went, what annoyed him, what made him laugh, his little stresses, his small victories. He starts protecting his inner world from you, the way a guilty man protects evidence. You no longer feel looped into his life. You feel like an observer, a guest. Because the more he drifts towards someone else, the more he must drift away from you. Two emotional attachments cannot operate in the same space without one starving. And you, unfortunately, become the one he starves. This is the point where you feel the most confused, because his behavior becomes inconsistent. warm one day, cold the next, accessible then distant, engaged then withdrawn. This hot and cold rhythm is not random. It's the rhythm of a man living in two emotional worlds. But let me dismantle another myth while we're here. A man doesn't cheat because the other woman is irresistible. He cheats because she is new. Novelty is the drug, the escape, the anesthetic. And here's the cruel irony. He mistakes excitement for compatibility.
I have to. So cheating, it goes in different dynamics with your cheating, okay? And it goes in different dynamics of, I could never sit here and say why someone in your life has cheated on you unless I talk to that person directly and they tell me the truth to why, right? And unless you're the person that's with them and you can say what why was because you were with them, you were there to know something, right? You're not clueless to not know why they probably cheated on you. But cheating is not nothing to, let me tell you this, okay? There's a reason people ask people about their families. There's a reason people ask people about, their home life. I'm going to tell you straight up. Anybody raised by their grandparents is more likely to cheat on you. When you have someone who is raised by a grandparent, we're a very different breed. I always say grandma babies, granddaddy babies, right? We're a different breed. We have a level of freedom, fear, insecurities at another level. A lot of us suffer from abandonment issues more than what we like to admit. Okay? A lot of us have a tendency to believe that we're going to be abandoned, cheated on anyway, and that's why our cheating is more so of, I'm not going to sit around here and continue to be abused the way I've been abused for most of my life. Our cheating comes from a place of, I just did it. Sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes it's just, it was there, it was presented to me, and I did it. So sometimes it's not even on an emotional level. For me, I'm speaking in terms of what it was on an emotional level. Sometimes it's a sexual thing. Sometimes there's something sexually that you're getting with that person that you can freely have with that person over there that you can't have with the person that you're with. People that you're with tend to be a prude about how they have sex with you. Okay, especially males. Like, they can be very prudish about, I'm with you, so I have sex with you in this type of way. And the thing is, when you go out there to somebody else, I have sex with you in this type of way. And so there's just these different many layers to why someone cheats. Okay? Let's go.
He confuses dopamine for destiny. He labels chemicals as connection. Weak men think intensity is intimacy. But let's move forward, because this is where the pattern becomes unmistakable. When a man is approaching infidelity, his communication shifts from direct to vague. He becomes elusive. He never answers a question in a straight line anymore. Where were you? Oh, just out. With who? Just people. What time will you be home? I'm not sure yet. Everything becomes fog, because clarity exposes him. Then comes the energy withdrawal. Men don't realize how obvious this part is. When he is giving his emotional currency to someone else, he no longer has the capacity to respond to you with depth. So your conversations feel empty, flattened, mechanical. He's not tired. He's redistributed. Now listen carefully. If you've reached this stage and he hasn't cheated yet, This is the point where it becomes most likely. Because he's emotionally halfway out. And betrayal becomes the path of least resistance. But here's where everything flips. Most men don't cheat because they're deeply unhappy. Most cheat because they're emotionally undeveloped. A man who doesn't know how to communicate chooses secrecy. A man who doesn't know how to process internal conflict chooses distraction. A man who can't hold discomfort chooses escape. Infidelity is the lazy man's version of self-discovery. Now let's talk about the moment before the moment. The opportunity phase. This is when he starts testing boundaries, but in ways small enough to disguise. He reconnects with an old friend. He opens an old message thread. He pays attention to somebody who has been paying attention to him. He responds to a compliment he would have ignored before. He lingers in conversations a little too long. He lets someone flirt without shutting it down. Just so you understand, emotional openings precede physical openings. He creates the space. He creates the spark. Then he pretends the fire was accidental. Watch what he does, not what he says. Men tell on themselves through patterns, not words. And here's the last thing I'll say in this segment before we continue. Men don't cheat because they find someone better. They cheat because they lose discipline, direction, and identity. And they use another person to distract themselves from the version of themselves they've grown tired of being. In the next segment,
This is double talking. I get where it's coming from. I do. There is a weakness. There is a lack of discipline that's there, right? Because you are in a relationship, and if you and this person agree that you two are just going to be you two together, then it should be that way, right? That's at least what society tells us. So I still say that cheating still comes from a place of something. Honey is here, honey. Oh boy. I really apologize about that. I'm having a situation over here with my Restream account. So let's go ahead and get back into it. Again, my apologies. I swear this is a show I'm gonna have to I'm gonna really have to edit this show.
He crosses the line. The psychology that drives it. And the emotional aftermath he'll never admit to. Here's the part everyone thinks they're ready for, but almost no one is. The moment he crosses the line, it never happens the way people imagine, not in some dramatic cinematic burst of passion. It's quiet, calculated, a stillness before the breach. A man doesn't stumble into betrayal. He walks into it, step by step, choice by choice. Rationalization layered on rationalization, until the truth becomes unrecognizable even to him. Here's the psychology of the moment. He feels a pull, not toward the other person, but toward the version of himself he gets to be with her. With you, he feels seen, known, understood, and understanding is heavy. It demands growth. But with her, he feels untethered, weightless, free from expectation, free from accountability. She doesn't know his flaws well enough to call them out. She doesn't know his insecurities well enough to trigger them. She doesn't know his patterns well enough to question them. He confuses freedom from accountability with compatibility. And so the moment happens when he decides he'd rather be a man with no expectations than a man who must rise to meet them. This is the psychological doorway. The second doorway is emotional anesthesia. Right before he cheats, a man shuts off a part of himself. He numbs. He quiets the voice that says, "This is wrong." He silences the part of him that remembers your laugh, your loyalty, your presence. That voice becomes inconvenient, so he deadens it. This is why men can betray someone they care about without collapsing from guilt in the moment, because they disconnected from themselves long before they disconnected from you. Then comes the rationalization. He tells himself things like, "It's just this once. No one will get hurt. I deserve this. We've been arguing anyway. I need to feel something. It doesn't mean anything. She understands me. It's already broken. She wasn't there for me. This doesn't define me." He builds a whole moral architecture designed to justify a decision he already made. And the scariest part? He believes it. Men don't cheat because they are inherently cruel. They cheat because they rewrite the story in their minds until betrayal looks like self-care. Now, here is the true moment. The moment he crosses the line is the moment he gives himself permission. Not to touch someone else. Not to kiss someone else. Not to lie to you. But to redefine himself. To become someone who is capable of this. Someone who chose escape over integrity. Someone who decided the path of least resistance mattered more than loyalty. This is the moment that breaks him, not the act, but the permission. Because once he gives himself permission to cross one boundary, every boundary becomes negotiable. Integrity is not lost in one choice. It dissolves through the erosion of smaller ones. Now let's talk about the aftermath. The part men swear they'll never feel, but always do. Immediately after cheating, the high collapses. The illusion shatters. The fantasy turns into a mirror. And what he sees is not passion. It's emptiness. It's astonishing. Men always expect to feel powerful in that moment. Instead, they feel hollow, detached, weirdly quiet. Because the rush wasn't about her. It was about escaping himself. And once it's over, he's forced to face the same man he was. Only now with less integrity and more regret.
Yes.
Here's what happens next. He becomes restless, short-tempered.
All right, here I jump in. All right, so again, thank you all who was patient that was waiting because the technical issues here. Okay, so listen, we have this thing in our head that you reap what you sow, which is a universal fact. You do reap what you sow, right? We have this thing in our head that if I do this to somebody, this is going to happen to me. But I'm going to tell you how the universe and how laws of attraction work. What you're giving and doing to somebody is their karma. That's their karma. They're reaping what they sow by what you're doing to them. Do you understand? I once had somebody I was dating, and I would use their card. I would use their card. And I would never do nothing like that. I would use somebody's card once or twice if I really need it. If I really need you, I would use your money. But I would use their card a lot to feed myself. And eventually they blocked the card from me. But I was like, damn, I don't do shit like that. Why I do that with them? Because that could be symbolic that person may have stole money from people. That person may have used people. That person, you get what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. Energetically, that person may have an energy like that. So it's not always that if you cheat on somebody, they're going to cheat on you type of situation. The universe don't really work like that. It's their energy. You see what I'm saying? It's their energy. And a lot of times, if you're paying attention enough in your life, and this is why you have to grow and you have to be more mature about how you have relationships as you get older. When you're paying attention enough in your life, you'll be able to identify what's going to happen next with that person without them saying a word. You know what I'm saying? Like one time, I remember my mentor, Will, he was saying that his friend was married. I don't know if he was married, but he was with this woman. And one day he woke up and the woman was gone. You see what I'm saying? And so Will was saying something like that would not happen to him because he said he would know. Like he would know that the woman he's with is not interested or that she's about to leave. Like it would be very obvious. And I say the same thing about myself. Like I don't think I was so shocked how she broke up with me in our last relationship. I feel like it was more like I expected her to communicate something to me. I expected her to say something. I didn't, but when she did what she did, it was still not a shocker because this was behavioral patterns that she had been showing me. Do you get what I'm saying? And so when you cheat, the guiltiness of, well, this person's good to me, or am I being wrong? That alone is what will make you. It does something to the cheating. You can't cheat and have a guilty conscience at the same time. You get what I'm saying? If you're going to cheat for the reasons that you say you're going to cheat, you got to stand in that. And the reason you stand in that, because that's going to help you understand yourself more, what you need more, and maybe that person that you're with is not that, or maybe through the cheating, that is how you're able to then start expressing to the person your needs, your wants, your complaints, or whatever it may be. Or it could even make you appreciate the person. But this is a topic that is hard to discuss. This is a rough topic right here to discuss because a lot of women will not openly talk about cheating. And a lot of women will not even openly admit, some men too, some simps and betters will not ever openly admit to cheating. And why?
Easily irritated. He feels exposed even when no one knows. He overcompensates with kindness, or withdraws entirely, or oscillates between both, because his internal world is crumbling. This is why his behavior becomes so chaotic. He's living in the aftermath of his own choices, and men have no idea how to process emotional fallout. They don't break loudly. They break sideways, in fragments, in contradictions. Now pay attention to this. He starts to resent you, not because you did anything,
Yes.
but because he has to project the guilt somewhere,
Yes.
and you're the closest container.
Yes.
The person hurt becomes the person he blames.
Yes.
This is why he picks fights. This is why he nitpicks. This is why he becomes cold. This is why he suddenly
It's worse.
needs space.
Cheating makes everything worse. See, when you have somebody who guilt-free, go buy them a slut, get them a better blowjob, you know what I'm saying? Go get a little gigolo dude, gonna fucking eat her pussy upside down, or bitch, whatever she like. And she fulfills that, and she goes home after that. You know what I'm saying? Take a shower, wash up all her shit, and go home after that. It is what it is. That's pleasure. That's a moment that I'm getting outside of you that you're not getting me here, or I don't feel comfortable doing with you because of this relationship I have with you. That's different. But when there is emotions involved inside of the cheating, that's when it gets a lot of projection. That's when it gets to a lot of more arguments and hurtful words being said, the past being brought up, things being thrown back in your face. That's what happens when you cheat and emotions are involved. Hold on, push the wrong button.
He is trying to create emotional justification retroactively. Then comes the worst phase, the rewriting of history. To live with what he did, he must make the relationship seem worse than it was. He'll tell himself, you didn't appreciate him? You didn't listen. You weren't affectionate enough. You nagged. You didn't support him. You've changed. You weren't trying. He has to distort the past to make room for the future he's trying to excuse. This is not clarity. It's self-preservation, dressed as certainty. Weak men rewrite reality when it no longer flatters them. But here's the twist. Even if he stays with the other woman, the relationship almost always collapses. Why? Because the new relationship is built on two people who met each other at their lowest. And anything built on an escape will eventually require returning to the truth. One day he will realize that she wasn't the solution. She was the symptom. And that realization hits men harder than heartbreak ever could. But let's end this segment on the part women never hear clearly enough. His betrayal is not evidence of your inadequacy. It is evidence of his instability. His lack of discipline, his emotional immaturity, his inability to hold discomfort without fleeing into temptation. A man's infidelity is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his character. The emotional boomerang, the regret, the way he circles back, and the power shift he never saw coming. Now we reach the part no one warns you about. The aftermath that unfolds long after the betrayal. When the dust settles and the emotional fog lifts. This is where the power shifts. Not when he cheats. Not when you confront him. not when he lies, cries, or confesses. The real shift happens when reality finally catches him, because every man who cheats goes through three phases after the collapse: the disorientation, the realization, the return. Let's break them down. The first phase is disorientation. Once the adrenaline fades, he's left standing in the ruins of his own choices. And for the first time, he feels the full weight of what he's done. Not the act, but the consequences. He feels untethered, like a man who stepped off a cliff and only now realizes he can't fly. He expected thrill. He expected validation. He expected a new beginning. Instead, he feels confusion, emptiness, anxiety, shame, a sudden disquieting silence that rattles him more than any argument ever could. The second phase is realization. Because here's the truth men never admit out loud. The other woman rarely becomes the new life. She becomes the reminder of the worst version of himself, the reminder of his weakness, the reminder of the moment he lost his integrity, the reminder of the pain he caused. He can't build a future with someone who witnessed his collapse. It's like trying to build a home on a battlefield.
Vulnerability. Grandma babies. We don't like vulnerability. Don't matter the gender. I have a cousin that has transitioned into a male, and I'm not surprised about that. She was the only girl amongst all the boys before I came along. Vulnerability, emotions, feelings. Can't really deal with that. You know what I mean? You're living with somebody. They see your flaws. They know what you smell like when you take a shit. You know what I'm saying? When you piss. They know your moments when you get depressed. They can see how you feel, how you break down if a certain parent call you. They see your weaknesses. They see your strengths. Right? They see your laziness, your depressions. That's a very vulnerable place to be. And then you start messing around and cheating and carrying on, and you got somebody that can probably pick up something ain't right with you, something about your emotions, something about who you used to be, or something. They picking up all this stuff. That's a lot to take in. And that in itself can make you very abusive and want to be combative against somebody when you're dealing with all of those emotions all in one. And these are the things nobody wants to talk about, and I don't understand that. Everybody wants everybody to be what they think they're supposed to be. Everybody wants everybody to I feel like it's supposed to be this way. And therefore, because I feel like it's supposed to be this way, that means that this is how it's supposed to be. Where you're in a relationship, you're supposed to be faithful and be with one person. Where you're in a relationship, you're supposed to say how you feel. But we all have lives. We all have psychological things that we go through before we got to that relationship with that person. Even people who be like, well, you should be friends before lovers. I still don't think that makes anything better. I still stand on that. If that doesn't even probably might even be even the worst kind of relationship if you're friends before lovers, and that's just me talking. I'd rather have something with someone who I find that's new. I'd rather have something with someone who I begin to learn and get to know, and I can have a fresh eye of my perspective of them. That's me. I'd rather that. If you're going to be my friend, you're going to be my friend. I don't see a friend being my lover. Because people like that, your intentions was the whole time was not to be their friend. Your intentions was to be their lover. And so I see and I hear this so many times, and I'm like, yeah, something's deceitful about that. And so therefore, this is how it goes. People try to make things be what it's not when it comes to a relationship. People try to say what it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to be when it comes to a relationship. And that's not what it's going to be. That's not what it's going to be. People really have it in their mind like, well, these are the rules. Who the fuck said those are the rules? The universal laws says this. The universal laws says this. The universal law says you reap what you sow. That we come here to grow. Even a flower wants to grow up to the sun. Even a grasshopper wants to jump higher than it does. Even a tree tries to grow up to the sun. Everything grows. And then there's new growth. That's what the universe, that's what the principles of nature says and shows us every single fucking day. And on top of that, the universal laws always win, no matter what people say. Because technically, you can do what you want to do. Yes, you will reap what you sow, but you can do what you want to do. Because that person that you in that relationship with, arguing and damn near fighting, they're still probably stuck in a place where they used to get abused as a child, and you're only reflecting back to them that abuse. You cheating and going off to somebody else is their abuse being reflected back to them. That's how deep it goes. But only you can do your own internal work to fix or correct whatever it is you need to correct about yourself. No one else can do that for you. All right, I'm about to go live on another platform, but I'm still here with y'all. They just not gonna be able to hear what we watching.
So the fantasy dissolves, the excitement drains, the pedestal crumbles.
Uh-oh, what happened?
He sees the truth he was running from, not about her, but about himself. She wasn't the solution. She wasn't the escape. She wasn't the remedy. She was the catalyst for self-destruction. This is the moment when regret sinks in. Not the dramatic kind, but a slow, corrosive realization that begins to eat at him. And then comes the third phase. The return. Not always physically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes silently, sometimes through actions he thinks go unnoticed. But almost always, a man will circle back. Not because he deserves forgiveness, but because he cannot accept the version of himself he became. He returns because you were the safe harbor. You were the mirror that showed him his higher self. You were the place where he felt grounded, seen, anchored. You were the version of life he wasn't mature enough to maintain. He doesn't come back because he suddenly understands love. He comes back because he finally understands loss. A man often realizes too late that loyalty is not a given. It is a luxury.
Yes,
A luxury not everyone receives twice.
Nope.
When he looks back, he doesn't remember the arguments. He remembers your kindness, your presence, your softness, your effort, your intimacy, your laughter, your investment in him. The very thing he traded for a temporary ego boost. He starts replaying memories in the quiet of his own mind. Not because he misses you, but because he misses the version of himself he was when he was with you, a version he can't recreate without you. This is what triggers the boomerang effect. He texts you at odd hours, likes your
This is
posts,
something.
reappears casually, checks in just to see how you are,
Yeah,
wonders if you're seeing someone,
that's
mentions
natural.
shared memories, hopes the door is still cracked open. He doesn't come back because he's changed. He comes back because he didn't. But here's the twist. By the time he returns, the power dynamic is no longer the same. You've seen the truth. You've felt the shift. You've walked through the fire his betrayal created and came out sharper, colder, wiser. You're not the same woman he walked away from. He left thinking you'd wait. He returns realizing you evolved. He expected you to break. Instead, you became someone he can no longer reach with the same ease. This is the part that devastates him. Not losing the relationship, but losing the version of you that saw him as worthy. He doesn't fear losing you. He fears being replaced by a man who doesn't need to hurt you to feel powerful. A man who chooses you without hesitation. A man who doesn't run. A man who doesn't negotiate loyalty. A man who isn't threatened by your strength. That is the moment the emotional boomerang completes its arc. And he realizes something he will never say out loud. He didn't cheat on you. He cheated on the life he could have had with you. So if you take anything from this entire breakdown, let it be this. A man's betrayal is not a prophecy for your worth. It's a diagnosis of his character. You were not the test he failed. You were the gift he couldn't carry. And one day, long after he has tried to rewrite the past, justify the choices, and silence the regret, he will finally see the truth. You weren't the woman who wasn't enough. You were the woman he wasn't built to handle. You ever notice how a man doesn't cheat the moment his eyes wander,
All
but
right,
the
hold on.
moment
All
his
right, let's get to it. This was the lesson that I learned in my life with that experience. And the number one thing is this: you don't go back. You don't go back. If it's over, it don't work out, let it be. Okay? That was number one. I learned also that you be with somebody who aligns with yourself. And if you do not know yourself, then you don't date anybody. That's what I learned. If you don't know yourself, then you don't date nobody. You keep getting to learn yourself, and then you begin to date, and you go out there and you talk to people. And even when you make friends and make acquaintances and homies and stuff, you have to begin to get to know who you are in order to know how to bring the proper people around you. When you're The moment I know that I'm with somebody that I want to be with, cheating is not something that will be a problem with me. My probably not even loyalty, whoever that is that I'm going to be with, right? So I also learned to not let a guilty conscience make you a faithful person, because then you're not faithful. Don't let a guilty conscience be the reason that you are being this faithful person, because it's just not. It's going to be a matter of time before you're going to blame shit on them. You're going to put it in their face. You know what I'm saying? You're going to low key cheat in your own type of way, right? It's not physically cheating, but you're going to low key cheat. You get what I'm saying? And though these are the things I've learned in that experience. And so what I got out of that was, and children was made in between all that. So it's like I made a lot of dire I did a lot of dire things in my life that put me in a deeper depressive space. Do you get what I'm saying? And because of that, this life is very, very harsh. This light is harsh. My goodness, this light is very harsh. I see why we get this. I should have got a bigger one. Should have bought a whole fucking TV set. Yeah, that other light is like, that other light is crazy. Alright, so that's what I learned as somebody who constantly had to who was going through this experience at such an early age. You know, here's another thing that is also very prevalent and also very key. Um, I think that um, this is where the dating world is crashing because mark my words when I tell you, y'all gonna hear a story with ASAP and Riri where they're gonna indicate that ASAP is cheating or possibly Riri is cheating. Because we already seen that argument and I already know what's coming. All right. Mark my words when I tell you this. Like, watch. It's gonna be something because Saturn is in Aries. Riri is a moon in Aries. ASAP is a Libra, which is the reflective sign of Aries. And so therefore, uh that's why um you know that just came to me when I looked up at my artwork right now because I got pictures of them right here, like artwork I did on my wall. And so we have lost understanding human nature. We have lost understanding the importance of having something going for yourself when somebody is in your life. I sit here and I think that artists have to be the most careful because we can attract people who want to siphon who we are, but they can't really handle being with who we are. Meaning they can get extremely possessive and jealous of us. They can get very abusive and nasty, all kind of shit. I also have come to see that people, women do this a lot, okay? And that's a woman who is playing victim and she's not taking responsibility and she doesn't know the world, okay? That means that this is a woman who she sits around and she is going to complain about what him cheating, what he has not, what everything about him cheating and how wrong he is for what he's done to her. But she's never going to reflect inside herself and do the inner work of why she attracted that type of relationship or that type of marriage. There's a lot of people who actually how do I say it? There's a lot of people who actually um when they get involved. Do you remember that interview we watched with Jesse yesterday? And he was saying like, okay, we get together, we like each other, and then once we're together, it gets boring. And then so what is it after we're together? Now you're boring. There's a lot of women who are very boring. I mean, literally very, very boring women. They don't have, who the fuck is this? They don't have I got two new friends on my Facebook, y'all. I don't even know where these people come from. I know that's an actor right there. Who's this? They don't have the. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Oh shit! I need to check her out. I need to go. I gotta message her. She in Queens too. That's so funny. All right, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I just saw somebody. Universe just dropped her right on my lap, so I'm gonna go talk to her in a minute. All right. So there's a lot of women that they don't have nothing beyond just their smile and a pussy. There are women that they know how to cook, clean, and all that shit, but they don't have nothing else. It goes back to my homie Jimmy that was texting Shorty. She was like, yo, homie, look at these text messages. Like she not saying nothing. And every time I talk to Shorty, she always want to, you know what I'm saying? She don't never want to finish work. She want to drink. And so it was a consistent, and my homie's an Aquarius too. So it was this thing of just constant of nothing with this person. So when she saw her in the chat room again on the stream, she like, oh, you didn't text me back. That's what the woman said to her. You didn't text me back. She was like, your texts are boring. Your texts are boring. She got mad at her badge, her moderation, as it's called, because she told her the truth. And the only way we're going to crack through the fuckery of what's going on in these relationships is if the truth can be told to a woman. A man can hear it. The men, if he's not a simp or better, he can listen to what you have to say. Alpha male gonna listen to what you have to say. Shit, an alpha female is gonna listen to what you have to say, and they gonna respond accordingly to what you're saying. And you just better be prepared for what they go for the back and forth. And that's another thing. This is where I get mad at the better and the simps. The better in the simps doesn't sit there and let her run her mouth, puts his dick in her mouth and do what he want to do, but never tells her the truth. Bitch, you talk too much. And she goes into public places thinking she can be the way she is with these simps and these betters. And when she's presented with an alpha, or she's presented with an ascended divine feminine woman, she crashes out in those spaces, because that better and that simp did not just simply say, bitch, you talk too much and you don't listen. You're socially awkward. Why would you say something like that? Why would you say something like that? Why do you need so much attention in the room? No, because the better in the simp wants pussy. The better in the simp is he simps and he betters for pussy. The alpha male is not doing that for pussy. He's still a man, but he's not pressed for it like that. But the better in the simp is. And so women get this false crowning in these spaces with the better in the simp, that when she goes into a space with a real alpha, a real ascended woman, she can't handle being in that space. She can't handle being in that space at all. She can't handle being told the truth. She doesn't have the spiritual or mental capacity to understand, do you ever realize maybe why this person went over there with that person to talk than you? Do you understand why this person went over there? Because she's an artist and she supports what this, you see what I'm saying? They don't know how to have that level of a conversation. And so the better in the simp becomes a problem in this because he does not know how to tell the woman the truth. There was a skit on Facebook years ago. One of my favorite skits. It was a Jamaican man, and it was an American woman, and it was an American man. And in the skit, it was talking about the American woman, the West Indian man versus the American man with the American woman, right? And it was this one part where it started off really cute, then it got real, and she was like, "Oh, I'm getting fat, I'm getting fat." And the Jamaican man was like, "No, no, no, the poom poom getting fat, the poom poom, you good, the poom poom getting fatter, right?" And so then fucking they went on, and it was a part that was my favorite part. And it was like the American man lets the American, lets her just run her mouth all day. And the Jamaican man snapped and told her to shut her pie hole, right? And I always laugh to this day because I don't know what else. I can't remember what else. I just remember them two parts of it. I don't remember what's in between it. If you know that skit, send it to me. Okay? Send it to my email, all right? Or drop it in the matter of fact, just drop it into the comment section. So anyway, I know I said poom poom kind of funny, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I sit here and I think about that with the better and the simp. And we have to understand the psychology of that. See, men, which is the better and the simp, men who had to be raised around their black mothers, right? There is a certain type of personality he has to deal with if there is no father or no father figure there in that space, because the father figure gets that mother off of him, gets that mother off the son, or gets, has some type of protection for the boy, and is in there to step in for manhood for that boy, right? And so when it comes to the better and the simp, he is so used to that this is why he allows this. Just like that guy who was like, well, I had women to take me out and they thought it was a date, but it wasn't a date for me. And the alpha male said, well, did you express that to her? Did you open your mouth and say that? And he said, no, I didn't. He said, see, that was the problem. You're not saying nothing. You're not telling them nothing. West Indian man, see, that was talking. And so these type of things are the problems that keep happening and keep happening in the community. Okay? These are the problems that keep happening in the community. Right? And so what begins to really happen is that this is why women, I have to go here, like Megan the Stallion, gets played, and these women are running around here like defending her to the bone because they don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to hear the truth in that. And there's an elephant in the room of truth with the situation between Megan and Clay, if anybody's paying attention to it. Okay? If anybody's paying attention to it. Then here is another thing that is key. A lot of y'all are weirdos. And a lot of you women with your weirdo behavior, it's not being called out. And that's why I put it in the universe that you weird bitches, y'all behavior gets called out. And a lot of you bitches that are weird and have weirdo behavior, this is why a lot of men do what they do to y'all. And I'm going to tell you that weird behavior that I see that is a little bit bothersome to me. Let me tell you something. I am somebody who have been in the trenches with the Grinches. No one will believe me. I don't have the muscles to show it. I've calmed down a lot. I don't have that aggressiveness to show it. You would not know or believe I came from where the fuck I came from and been through what the fuck I've been through. And I actually like that about myself, right? I like that. And so therefore I'm able to identify people who are about that life and people who ain't about that life. And I've had people from New York City that said, nah, you're not like that. You're not that kind of person. You're not da 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 da. And I'll be like, all right, cool. And I'm fine with that. Because I think people who got that look gets targeted bad. I already get enough. And so anyway, what happens? You see women who are clearly not hood, not gangster, not in the streets, not even a little street, who put on this persona and dance to this music that has nothing to do with anything that they live like. I chose the path that I chose, though I live smack in the fucking gutter. I chose my life. And I chose the people I hung around with. I chose the frequency that I did. That was my saving grace. Okay. But I still was around that shit and I still know those people. And I'm saying to you that there are people I see that dance to, I like a nigga that pick me up with a Draco, jet ski, island, ocean breeze, back shots on the balcony. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the verse. And I see the broads that be dancing to that shit, and I'm like, girl, you ain't about that life. What are you doing? Playing music that come from the gutter. Bounce that ass just like your friend do. Throw it. Bounce that ass just like your fin do. Throw it. Okay? But you ain't from that place. Do you see what that girl look like that's rapping on that song? That's a Project Hallway bitch. That's a girl that dropped out of school and was sucking dick by the time she was 14. Had the baby at 15 by some older man. And she's still doing that and running around in the hallway smoking weed and getting drunk. That's who the fuck is rapping on that song, bitch. And if they want her to go beat up a bitch just because, she gonna go do it. If they tell her to go over there and go see who that bitch is and go wave at her just because the stupid bitch is gonna do that, that's what song you dancing to, bitch. You ain't about that life. And these girls, they want to make faces and pick their tongue out and do all this shit. And I'm not a man, but I could halfway imagine what a man is thinking. A man could meet a woman like me and know where I'm from and know and hear where I'm from and look at me and almost double look at me and be like, wait a minute, that's where you from? That's where you lived? And that's where I become a bit dangerous. Because a lot of people who live in the hood don't mean that they want to be hood. It's not nothing we can do about it if we live in a fucking hood. Some of us, we can't. We really can't. It's just circumstantial, unfortunately. White supremacy systematically. Yeah, that stuff. And so what happens is when y'all are sitting here and y'all are carry on this type of behavior, doing these type of dances and shit, y'all look weird. It's like, bitch, you not from that life, bitch. You ain't about that life. A bitch getting drunk all day, smoking weed all day. and going off somewhere getting fucked or fucking and just going back in the streets and carrying the fuck on? Bitch, you ain't about that life. You ain't the kind of bitch that be in a relationship. I'm having memories. You be in a relationship and you got another nigga or another bitch on your phone while that nigga sleep in the bed. I got cursed out for that shit. Like, yo, this some street shit. You moving like a street bitch. How you gonna have me in the bed sleep with you and you fucking texting the next motherfucker? Y'all not about that life. And so that's why that shit look weird. That's why that shit look weird. And then I be looking at y'all. Y'all look so sophisticated. Y'all look like I can tell that y'all got both y'all mom and daddies in your life that wasn't raised by your grandparents. You wasn't abandoned. And for some reason, you want to slum it. And you want to be in videos and slum it. When you have the frequency and proximity to go be with somebody that will do for you properly. But y'all choose this hood ghetto shit. Y'all want it so bad because there's something exciting about the life. There's something that's free. There's something that's more black about that life. Something about something that you can identify with and be that you can't be with your boring self. Or you may not be boring, you just may not want to accept who you are. And that's how that happens to you. And where it gets weird is when you come around us and you can't really hang. And so you trolling and you carry on all this weird behavior. And the worst part about it is, bitch, we see you. That's what you don't understand. We see you. I'm going to look back at tag. Okay, nobody's here. It's only one person. Shout out to that one person. We see you. You're not as hidden as you think that you are. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and play another vid. I'll be back in a minute. This is the latest one that he has done. I want to play this one. Is the screen share on? Hold on, y'all. Oh, my computer is running fucking slow and it's driving me the fuck crazy. All right, let's go.
If you've ever watched a man suddenly become alert the moment a woman stops carrying the conversation, you've witnessed a small psychological panic, dressed up as indifference. His phone in his hand. His pride is on the line. And for the first time, he is not being entertained for free. That is the moment respect begins, not because she spoke louder, flirted harder, or proved her value like a contestant on a dating show, but because she withdrew labor. Conversational labor is still labor, and men respect what costs them something. Here's the hook you weren't warned about. Men don't respect women who chase conversations because chasing tells him something he will never forget. That silence scares you more than losing him. Once he senses that, the power dynamic is sealed. He can disappear mid-sentence, reply days later with a lowercase lol, or change the subject without warning, because you've already shown him you'll do the work of continuity. You'll patch the awkwardness. You'll rescue the momentum. You'll keep the interaction alive like a CPR nurse pumping air into a corpse. Men don't respect that. They feed on it. A man respects a woman who doesn't chase conversations because she forces him to confront something deeply uncomfortable. His replaceability. When a woman doesn't rush to fill gaps, doesn't double text, doesn't ask follow-up questions, Like an anxious HR manager, he loses the illusion that he is the prize by default. He feels the silence as judgment, not spoken judgment, which men can dismiss, but implied judgment, which they can't argue with. Let's get something clear before the simps start sweating. This isn't about being cold or aloof or pretending you're too busy to type. That's amateur theater. Men smell fake indifference the way sharks smell blood. This is about genuinely not investing conversational energy where curiosity is not returned. It's about refusing to audition for attention. Men respect that because it mirrors how power actually behaves. Power does not chase. Power waits and watches who steps forward. Men chase conversations when they sense scarcity. They disengage when they sense abundance. The woman who chases conversations signals abundance of availability and scarcity of self-control. The woman who lets conversations die signals abundance of options and scarcity of tolerance. Guess which one commands respect? There is a reason men suddenly don't know what happened when a woman stops texting first. They knew exactly what happened. The environment changed. The invisible safety net was removed. The emotional train wheels came off. And now, the man has to pedal or fall. Most men hate pedaling. Here's where people get confused and start moralizing. They say, but communication is important. Of course it is. So is oxygen. That doesn't mean you chase someone around with an air tank begging them to breathe. Communication that is forced becomes maintenance. Maintenance kills desire. Men respect women who don't chase conversations because those women make communication voluntary again. Desire needs choice. Obligation suffocates it. Men are transactional whether they admit it or not. Every interaction answers a silent question. What does this cost me? And what do I gain? When a woman chases conversations, the cost to him is zero. He can be dull, distracted, late, or lazy, and still receive engagement. That teaches him that minimal effort yields maximum access. Men respect women who don't chase because they reintroduce cost. Suddenly, effort matters again. There's research that backs this up. Even though watching men behave for a weekend would give you the same conclusion. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that delayed responsiveness and selective engagement increased perceived desirability and status, particularly in early-stage interactions. Participants attributed higher value and confidence to individuals who did not immediately reciprocate conversational bits. In simpler terms, people respect those who don't rush to prove interest, men included, especially men. Now let's talk about why chasing conversations is so tempting. Silence feels like rejection. For many women, silence triggers anxiety, and anxiety demands action. Text him, ask a question, send a meme, anything to restore equilibrium. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment you act to relieve your own discomfort, you teach him that your emotional regulation is his entertainment. He can destabilize you with absence and watch you scramble. That's not respect. That's leverage. And you handed it to him. Men respect women who don't chase conversations because those women are emotionally self-contained. They don't need constant validation to feel secure. Men don't want to be emotional babysitters, but they are happy to be emotional beneficiaries. The woman who doesn't chase flips that script. She doesn't reward low effort with attention. She doesn't punish silence with panic. She simply continues her life. Men notice that immediately. It unsettles them. This is where the simps get angry. They call it mind games. They say it's manipulative. What they're really saying is that they benefit from women over-investing and feel threatened when that stops. Men who are used to being chased feel personally attacked when women develop standards. That reaction alone should tell you everything. A woman who doesn't chase conversations forces a man to reveal himself. If he's interested, he adjusts, he engages, he follows up. If he's not, the interaction dies quietly. Either outcome is efficient. Chasing conversations delays truth. It keeps mediocre men in circulation longer than they deserve. Men respect efficiency. They live by it. They just don't like it used against them. Here's a detail most people miss. Men don't actually enjoy women who carry conversations. They tolerate them. Enjoyment requires participation. When a woman does all the work, the man becomes passive. Passivity breeds boredom. Bored men don't respect the source of their boredom. They blame her for it. Men respect women who don't chase conversations because those women create a subtle performance pressure. He has to show up interesting, present, engaged. He has to invest. That investment creates attachment, not the other way around. Attachment follows effort. This has been observed in behavioral psychology for decades, long before dating apps turned everyone into a commodity. Now let's address the inevitable question. What if he doesn't come back? Good. That wasn't a loss. That was an exit interview without the paperwork. Men who disappear when you stop chasing were never respecting you to begin with. They were consuming you. There is a difference. Respect is stable. Consumption is impulsive. A woman who doesn't chase conversations is not trying to win every man. She's trying to filter them. Men respect filters because men use them constantly. They just don't like being filtered out. Notice how men speak about women who don't chase. They call them intimidating, cold, hard to read. That's not an insult. That's a confession. It means the woman is not easily manipulated. It means the usual tricks don't work. It means the man has to be intentional. Intention is effort. Effort creates respect. This is also why men will often test these women. They'll go quiet to see if she panics. They'll send something lazy to see if she picks it up and runs with it. When she doesn't, something shifts. He recalibrates. Or he leaves. Either way, the woman wins because she didn't overextend for a man who hadn't earned it. There is a certain dark humor in watching men complain about women who don't try. What they mean is that these women don't perform unpaid labor. They don't manage men's egos through constant engagement. Men respect women who don't chase conversations because those women refuse to mother them socially. And yes, women who can play this well, respect. Not because they are cruel, but because they are disciplined. They don't let anxiety dictate behavior. They don't let politeness override self-interest. They understand that attention is currency, and they don't hand it out like flyers on a street corner. Now, somewhere in the middle of this video, let me say this clearly. If you're trying to unlearn the habit of chasing conversations and failing in real time, that's exactly what one-on-one coaching is for. Patterns don't break because you understand them. They break because someone corrects you when you're about to repeat them. I offer coaching, and it's pinned in the comment section. The benefit isn't theory, it's timing. Knowing when to stop, when to wait, when to disengage without drama, and how to let silence work for you instead of against you. My landing page is done. It'll be in the description and pinned comment. Go there. Read the free PDF. Watch the free video. Subscribe to the newsletter. I offer discounts for coaching orders there. And if you're serious about changing how men respond to you, you already know why that matters. This is what my weekly newsletter looks like. This is where I sometimes say things that YouTube doesn't let me say. I'll be sending 3 weekly, and make sure to check under promotions or spam folder for my emails. Now let's go deeper, because this is where most people still sabotage themselves. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is a mirror, and men hate mirrors that don't flatter them. When a woman stops chasing conversations, the man is left alone with his own contribution, or lack of it. He replays the exchange. He notices how little he offered. He notices that nothing came to rescue him. No follow-up question. No playful nudge. No emotional scaffolding. Just the quiet verdict of reality. Most men have never had to face that. They've been carried conversationally since adolescence by women taught to be agreeable, responsive, and endlessly curious about men who have done nothing to earn it. This is where respect is born. Not in affection, not in chemistry, in consequence. Men respect women who don't chase conversations because these women weaponize restraint. They understand that attention is not free, and silence is not neutral. Silence is pressure. It forces a man to decide whether he is interested enough to act. And action, not intention, is the only thing that matters. Let's dismantle a popular lie. Men don't lose because a woman is too quiet. Interest when they feel no tension. Chasing conversations kills tension. It flattens the emotional terrain. Everything becomes predictable. And predictability is where desire goes to die. Men respect women who don't chase because unpredictability returns. Not chaotic unpredictability, the kind that screams instability, but controlled
Oh, how you doing,
unpredictability.
Hubwig?
The kind that says,
I just saw
I'm not here to
your
fill space.
comment.
I'm here if it's worth it. There's
I
a
want
cool irony
to
here.
add
The
something
women who chase conversations
to this.
believe they are being kind, open, and emotionally intelligent. What they are actually doing is insulating men from effort.
I have to say something to this. The simps and the betters, yeah, I drag out of them. Okay. Now let me make something clear. I don't drag the metrosexual male. I don't drag the man who is, open about whatever his sexuality is. I don't drag him. That man is actually more man than the better and the simp. Okay. I just want y'all to understand that. That's not a better, that's not a simp, unless he's being a simp. But that man who's open about his sexuality, who he know who he is, he doesn't hide it. The woman who's with him know what the hell it is when they're with them. I don't have a problem with that man. Okay. He's not a better, he's not the simp. The better and the simp is the liar. He's pressed for pussy. Okay. He's what Valerie Solano's wrote about. He's pressed for pussy. Okay. I mean, all men, most men, but the alpha male, at least he's going to say what he has to say to a woman, and he knows when to be quiet, right? And the alpha woman is the same thing with her as well. She has a way, and I don't like to even use the word alpha male because that's not, we're not alpha women. We can be, but we're not in that alpha woman, woman huntress energy. We're more in the, like I said, the divine feminine energy. It's balanced between the feminine and the masculine energy. That's just what we can do. So the better and the simp is the problem, because the better and the simp just takes what these women say and be like, oh yeah, girl, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's not okay for what Clay did, because if he was not in a relationship with her, then why was he on video with her? And so he uses your own silly talking points back to you. Okay? The better and the alpha, the better and the simp is not going to, he's going to say, clock it, girl, and did. He not going to call you out on that weird behavior, on you on video dancing in a way and making faces in a way of a lifestyle that you simply do not come from. Okay, that we all can tell that you don't come from. Like the better and the simp is going to let that carry on, and the better and the simp is a yes man. No, I do not like a yes man. A yes man is the most destructive man. My stepfather is a yes man. So the yes man lets her carry on behavior better than simps. That when she gets outside, she has to go outside and have a rude awakening for her behavior because it's not being checked. So she goes outside and embarrassing herself, being a weirdo because he didn't check that behavior. And a lot of these dudes be weird with these bitches. That dude that was with that girl who attacked Ice Spice, if that was an alpha male, that wouldn't have went down at all. She would not have approached Ice Spice and her friend weird like that. Are we shaking ass? They don't even know you, shorty. How you walking up to somebody saying some shit like that? Weirdo. And then you saying shit and you jumping in people's face, ready to fight for no reason, like a weirdo. And then you get on the this is what I say about the simps and the better are the problem. And then you get on camera making yourself, incriminating yourself, because you should go to jail. And I hope that the courts, because she did take it to court, and I hope that they play that out loud. I wish I could see that case. I really do. And then everybody can see that you're mentally delayed and that you were clearly stalking her because you mentioned when you saw her and how you end up seeing her again in McDonald's. Weirdo. And so a lot of dudes is not telling you bitches this shit. And they not taking y'all serious at all because you're a weirdo. And because of this thing that you do, you got to get humiliated. The world, you have to get, the universe has to lay it on your ass, and you got to get humiliated for people to know that what you're doing is not okay. I know hood bitches. I know bitches from the streets. They are the coolest motherfuckers that you could ever know. They are the most down to earth, sincere. They just troubled. Low key, I'm a hood bitch. Low key, I'm one. Okay? Troubled. Life dealt, they had to deal with some cards that they shouldn't have had to deal with. But that's what happened. And they can only go as far in life as they understand it. They're not stupid. And they only know what they know. And it's not their fault. And they only know what they know because they don't know how to know anything else. Sometimes it takes somebody to help them know something else. That's why they always end up with a Hebrew Israelite or a man that's very spiritual or a woman that's way. Because even with the dudes, it's the same thing with them. They be drawn to people with that kind of different way of living because they don't know how. So I know people that come from that life. And I know some real low life motherfuckers that come from that life. And I stay out they motherfucking way. Okay? I know that. But a lot of people, y'all are literally imitating these people, and you don't come at all from that life. I be seeing y'all dancing. Like, I could show y'all right now of everybody playing. The song is a bop. The song is a motherfucking bop. And everybody play that main part of the song. And the girls I be seeing that's dancing to the shit, I be like, bitch, you, excuse me? Like, excuse me? And so you think dudes don't see this shit? Because a lot of times I realize those are women that get they ass handed to them. They get beat up and embarrassed in public and they cry about it. Those are the ones that end up wanting to come back and their religious self begins to want to come. Oh, they regret what they've done and want to apologize and shit, looking dumb. So this ties into cheating and behavior as well. Do you understand clock it, clock that T girl. Do you understand who the people are that shit come from? Receipts and all. You understand these people that the shit come from? And y'all sit here and y'all imitate this shit. Y'all sit here and y'all imitate this shit like, and it's just obvious like y'all don't come from this, and it looks weird. And then behind the scenes, y'all do y'all little weird shit, sliding in people inboxes, coming around people, and low key telling this person and this person about the person, doing weird shit, trying to make people not like them because you need all the attention in the room type shit. Weirdo shit. And this is what you bitches out here be doing. And so when y'all get with a man and y'all get in a relationship, he clocks your T, right? And that's why he goes hard on you when you critique him. And he be like, you need to look at yourself. You need to look at your life. You need to focus on yourself. You need to know, you need to worry about you and what you got going on in your life. And you want to cry about that. You want to get mad. You want to get spiteful. You want to expose him. You want to call him a cheater. Oh, girl, I'm tired. Disrespect is the line. But Megan, you mad extra. You was being mad extra, Megan. You was talking like a damn YouTuber the way you was doing the videos, and you're Megan Thee Stallion. Like Nicki Minaj would never do that. You're sitting here and you're not even reading the room. You're not paying attention enough to know as a grown woman that meeting, because she got some deep mother wounds, you know. You don't even know that just meeting his dad is not, and daddy wounds too, because where's her father? She always talk about her uncle, but where's her father's? And some daddy wounds going on there because you don't know that meeting, anytime you meet the dad, anytime you with a guy and you meet the males in the family, that's a telltale motherfucking sign. If you're not meeting the mamas and the messy ass aunties, you ain't somebody that they choosing. The moment you meet a daddy, the moment you meet a brother, a cousin, oh girl, no. That's like, you ain't in there. You should have been moving on from then. And this is a woman that has proximity to men of all races and proximity to high value men of all races. But she's not the value of what she's seeking. And so this is where I go and I say it goes back to that weird behavior with you bitches. I once went to a show. It was the lady next to me with her boyfriend, I guess. She was being loud, drunk, and belligerent while the show was going on. And the person hosting the show just had to be quiet. And he was like, yo, let's give it up for her. Right? Because he had a show to do. Right? And she was quiet the whole time. And I was like, well, why did she think that was okay to do? What made her think that was okay to do during the show? Because the person sitting, I can't speak, but the way he was acting, it was like, well, does she always act like this? Is this something that you have to do often? You could tell he was a bit embarrassed himself. He just kind of just shut it down. So my thing is, this is where the better, and I talk shit to the better in the Sims the way that I do, because you see, be around social media too much and you be around other weirdo bitches. And I told my story about being around these weirdo bitches and how if you're not careful, that weirdo bitch will be the very bitch weirdo bitch that'll cause your relationship to fall apart because you'll start taking on traits of this weirdo bitch unknowingly. I sat here and I listened to a woman just act a fool with her husband in the way she treated him. And it's not just one person. I just want to make this clear. I've seen this on multiple occasions. And I see even now, even in with even same sex couples, I see women who they're belligerent. Okay? They're belligerent and their behavior is out of line, it's out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Their behavior uh their behavior is not, it's unchecked. And the person is better in simp that they're with, because yes, women can be better than simps when they're there in a masculine role, allows this type of behavior that this person's face has to get humiliated in public. This person has people around them that does not want to fuck with them and or talk to them. It was once a woman who she was with uh three women at the table. One she knew a long time, a coworker, then I don't know what the other one was. But these are women she knew. She began to talk about something with relationships, and they all shut her down. All of them shut her down. And they was like, all that advice that you're giving us, you need to start doing it for yourself. Boom. And she quietly felt some type of way that they all did that to her at the same time, that she had that intervention with all of them. I also saw a woman who's belligerent in her relationship, and she was going at this dude, trying to troll him. And I could tell from looking at this dude that he was sharp, and I would never try to troll him. I actually would be the type to talk to him because that's just the woman that I am. And he said, "Let me see that body. Pan that camera down and let me see that body." And because of that, I mean, I could tell she couldn't even come back with nothing because she just felt some type of way about what he said. She was like, "Let me see that body." Belligerent behavior, and I see back to back to back how people crash her face. And there's a lot of these weird, they need somebody to crush their face. Some of them, you got to sit back and you got to let them have their own rope and hang themselves. That one is the one who's loud and proud, but behind closed doors, everything is fucked up. But eventually, everything that's fucked up is going to come to the light, and everything's going to get worse for that person. And so you play chess and you don't argue with them, you don't go back and forth with them, you let them have it. Because trust me, they're going to fall on their own sword. It always happens that way. But you got to know how to play chess with that one. Now, with the weirdo bitch, she gets her face crashed in public. With a weirdo bitch, she gets called out in public by other people because the simping better that she's around does not do it. And because of this, it's more and more and more people that got karma laid out for their ass. They got more ass tagging that the universe is going to do to them because they are too far ahead of themselves. And oh, trust me when I tell you that they're too far ahead of themselves. You got people who are sitting around here Sticking their bitches just sitting, sticking their tongue out. The dudes ain't no different. I know. Sticking their tongue out, mad, nah, and doing all this type shit and doing her hands a certain in her head a certain type of way. And she don't even come from nothing like that. And what's even dark about it, all that shit came from the trannies. All that come from that come from street life shit. I still to this day say, girl, I'm about to gag, girl. I still talk like that. You know why? Because I was in the streets with the boys and the trannies. And the trannies that came from prison. I was around that shit. That's why I talk like that. We didn't have clock it and all that shit. That shit came later. We did have tea. We always had tea. We always had that. Did they take it back? Stop fucking playing. Let me see. No, that's just. I'm about to say, no, that's just the effective date. It's okay. One second, y'all. So the thing is, okay, here we go. It's right here. I'm about to say, no, they didn't go that bad. Okay. 74. Got it. Okay. So the thing is, with all of this that's going on, in the way that is going on, the main thing to understand is there's a certain lifestyle that comes with the way that people speak. Now, unless you're from the inner cities, you will understand what's going on. We have code switching because code switching was a term used for those of us that come from the hood. And those of us that come from the hood, we had to learn the code switch in order to get that job, in order to keep that job, in order to make that money so we can get our ass out the motherfucking hood. Some people love the hood. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those of us from the hood, if you are around a certain group of people and you ran those streets, when you run them streets, you're going to come across the hoes. Okay? The prostitutes, the hoes, the drug addicts, the ex-cons. You going the homeless. And you might make friends along the way. And there's a way that we all speak, the way that we all talk. And we all from the city got that motherfucker that's mentally ill and crazy, but they be speaking some real shit, but life done troubled them out. This is what you come with. This is why you see shit where you see somebody who's like high or off, but everybody cool with them and everybody dance with them and they the life of the party and everybody love them. And when they not here no more, the block is hot for them and you just like, damn, what happened? This person look high, this person look drunk, and everybody got so much respect for this person, and this person has a story. That's the life in the hood. So when I be like, girl, I'm about to gag, girl, I was gagging. Girl, that's how I talk. That's what I was around. And so when you hear people talk a certain type of way, you know what kind of lifestyle they come from. I got called ghetto at work by a coworker. She was jealous. But I got called ghetto. And it did kind of hit me. And I was like, damn, ain't nothing ghetto. But what the fuck is ghetto about me? I get called Becky. And I started running through that shit in my head, right? But I thought about it. And I was like, first of all, Aries don't know how to judge. Like, Aries be all wrong about me anyway. But I was like, looking at my energy and how I carry myself, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a good ass code switcher. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good ass code switcher because you won't know I come from where I come from. The way I carry myself, the way I walk, the way I talk. You understand what I'm saying? Uh you won't know that I'm somebody who's come from what I've come from. Okay? Then there is the part of my life where I was trying to think about some more slang. Cause I'm an '80s baby. I'm from like I'm the beginning '80s baby. You know what I'm saying? So shit different over here with this '80s baby. You feel me? This '80s baby is yeah. I actually come from that life. I'm talking about the crack tops on the floor while me and my cousins is playing around in the street and riding our bikes. I do come from that. I just want to say that. I'm not bragging about it. I'm saying that that's what I come from. Okay? People in the streets have a certain way that they talk, a certain way they walk, a certain way they carry themselves, certain ways that we do it. What's good, my nigga? Mad over exaggerated. Oh, what up? I ain't see you in a hot minute, bro. Where you been? This is how we talk. We're very animated. And so when we see people who act a certain way, we like, bro, we know you're not about that life because you too, it's just something, it's just the way you doing it. Just you ain't about it. You just heard somebody say this and you just copying it, but you ain't that ain't your life, shorty. That ain't you. And so when these type of things begin to be called out and these type of women get abused, or dude end up slapping her ass around, there's a dark side to bitches that come from that life. We fight men, shorty. We fight men, shorty. We throw hands with a man, shorty. And because you ain't about that life, okay? Because you ain't about that life, you done got caught up in the rapture, right? Let me see if I got any comments. So I won't be, I'm handling business while I'm talking to y'all. All right. And this is where it happens with the weird bitch. This is where it happens with her. 1 second, y'all. I'm back. And so they don't come from that. And so now she trying to be what she not. She gets caught up in the rapture, right? Now she wants to play victim. Okay? Now she wants to play victim. Now she wants to say that this person is so horrible for what he did to her and all that. I'm not dismissing no man putting his hands on a woman. I'm talking to you about the lifestyle that these bitches try to pretend and be like, but it ain't who they are. And see, as always, as always, women like me, women like me, who call this shit out, because we do, who call this type of shit out, people always make it as if we take it too far, that we're being too harsh. But let me tell you something about taking it too far and too harsh. Welcome to the hood, bitch. They take it too far and they take it too harsh. Welcome to the hood. And y'all sitting here, y'all don't come from this life. You live your luxury. Y'all want it both ways. Y'all got your little luxury life, but then y'all want to be hood and ghetto and all this shit. Whatever the fuck y'all be trying to do. Whatever weird shit y'all bitches be trying to do. And then when you get involved in it and you have to be faced with what that really is, now you a victim. See, women have a this is women's issue. I have a book. I found my book, The Female Brain, by the way. I'll play it on the Patreon though. And the female brain, it gets into the science, because she had the male brain. This woman wrote the male brain as well. And the female brain, she gets into many things with the female brain, and I'll be speaking from that book. And what I find with women, and I'm going to learn this from the female brain book, is she gets engulfed in her fantasy of what she wants it to be and what she believes it to be. Tell me she does not do that. And the moment that is not anything that she thought it to be is the moment that she crashes out. Is the moment she wants to get spiteful and try to get everybody to go against this person. And when it backfires on her, what happens? See, a lot of people low key can sense that Rihanna is the problem. I said that. And this man, Chris Brown, got his reputation. He worked hard. Chris Brown went harder. Tell me he did not. Chris Brown could have broke down and we wouldn't even have a Chris Brown right now, but he still kept going. And eventually even Rihanna was not even hard on him anymore. You get what I'm saying? Because everybody was so harsh on him in the pictures and this and that. And then when a woman takes too far, I'm guilty of this. Then she realizes how far she took it. Or when a man goes and reacts to her energy of taking it too far, you see what I'm saying? And so women have to start taking responsibility for this type of behavior. Man, can I get somebody to talk? Hello. Shit. Hello. Put that across the board. And until these type of psychological conversations can be had, then we can talk about people being in relationships with people. Because we don't even understand, people don't even understand the nature of just the biological makeup of who we are. We had a whole year, 2009. The whole entire year was about who pays for the dinner. You can go feed a homeless motherfucker right now. What are you saying? What's so special about paying for my dinner? What's so special about paying for food for me? Well, this is how this person tells you what? Is that what we reduced down to? Is food? Man, the motherfucker you feed, people feeding the homeless right now as we speak. And if somebody gonna argue and say no, it's about self-worth, and if somebody like you, they're gonna do for you. But goddamn, what about your personality? That's what you limited down to? People go to restaurants to have meetings and sign contracts too. Are y'all doing that? If you're a woman that does business, what I learned about myself, I looked in the mirror and told myself this. I said, as a woman who does business, everything in life needs to be business. Everything in life needs to be a negotiation, a sales fucking pitch. And that means whoever's in front of me, I need to know how to I need to know how to negotiate, how to talk. I need to watch that. There's a master class on negotiation. I'm gonna watch that. The power of negotiation. Now, excuse me, y'all. I gotta laugh. You know why I'm laughing? Because what I have absolutely come to see. Where is my gas bill? So we need to look that up next. What I have absolutely come to see in all of this stuff that I talk about, right? I have I was sitting down and I'm always thinking. That's how I come here to talk like I do. Because the Mercury's in Gemini, by the way, y'all. Okay. Mercury is absolutely in Gemini right now. Oh no, hold on. Okay. And so with Mercury being in Gemini, that's why I'm talking so much. My Mercury's in Virgo, okay? So anyway, the point I'm making is a lot of people out here are, what's the word? Somebody help me find a word to describe people out here. People who have been telling people how to date and what to do on a date and what to do with a man, and they have been giving women hoopla, you know. And then you have people on these shows that are getting up there talking and stuff. Look, you had people that was getting up, women who are telling their stories about how they got used in the industry and how pretty much they got used and sexually abused and tossed around in the industry and cried about it and this and that. Then you have people who listen to it but have confronted that person on what they've been saying, and then that person puts up a cry scene. I'm trying not to say names here, okay? I'm trying. And the reason why this happens to a lot of women is because there are women who I see that are in these type of situations or who get into these type of situations, and they don't understand. Their like little bubble gets popped when someone really poses a question to them about the actions they have taken in their lives, about the decisions that they have been making in their lives. And I see why Ayana Van Zet was like, she don't even want to talk to women no more. She only want to talk to men now. I get it now. And what I'm seeing, as I'm going to still study and learn the female brain, I'll get to the comment section in a minute, y'all. Paying bills over here. What I see in this experience with the female is that she is not at all trying to take responsibility for what it is that she has caused in her life. Okay? She's not at all taking responsibility for her own problems in her life. Okay? And the problems that she has in her life, or that she has caused in her life, is because she is not taking any responsibility, nor is she even being in reality in her life. She's not even in reality. That's the dark side of women. You say to her, well, how bad did you want what you said that you wanted? That's what you'll say to her. You'll say to her, well, why did you do it that way? Why did you choose to be with that kind of person when you knew that was their lifestyle? You'll say to her. And people will get on you. But there's a reason that it happens to women in this way. Okay? There's a reason. I gotta find my damn account number. See, this shit that be pissing me off. 1 second. Y'all gonna have to watch this video. It's because there's some women, they're not getting checked. I'm a woman, I get checked on my behavior all the time. All day, every day, B. I don't get to be stupid in life. Sorry, I don't get that luxury like the rest of you. No shade to, I don't get that luxury. I don't get to be stupid. I have my times, but I didn't want to be here no more. I was done with living. So I was aware of that, but I still was aware of what I was doing. I was very aware of what I was doing. I'm grown. And so, therefore, I don't get to be stupid. I don't get to walk out here and be dumb. The universe don't allow that for me. I have to constantly look in the mirror at my behavior. I have to constantly look in the mirror at people I allow around me. And I have to constantly do that shit. What makes a man feel like he can come and go freely? Go ahead and listen to this. While I handle this bill in the background.
If you have ever wondered why one meets a woman like a hotel, he can check into and out of whenever boredom strikes. Not even sure he deserves. You are already circling through. The difference is not his trauma, attachment style, or the alignment of the moon. The difference is what the environment allows him to get away with. Men are not confused animals. They are opportunistic ones. They test, they observe, they adjust. And once they learn they can come and go freely, they will exercise that freedom with the enthusiasm of a child who discovered an unlocked liquor cabinet. Here is the part that makes people uncomfortable. Men do not take freedom. Women grant it. Not consciously, not maliciously, but consistently. Freedom is not demanded. It is inferred. It is learned through repetition. A man shows up late. Nothing happens. He disappears for days. Nothing happens. He gets crumbs. They are accepted with gratitude. At some point he stops wondering if this behavior is acceptable and starts assuming it is expected. Congratulations. You have trained him like a dog who now sleeps on the couch and looks offended when you suggest otherwise. What makes a man feel like he can come and go freely is not that he is powerful. It is that he does not fear consequence. Fear is the regulator of behavior, not morality, not empathy, not potential. Fear of loss is the only thing that forces a man to stay present when novelty calls his name. Remove that fear, and you remove the leash. Men speak endlessly about wanting peace. What they mean is access without obligation. They want the benefits of intimacy without the tax of responsibility. They want warmth without weight. A woman provides, that becomes convenient. And convenience is lethal to desire. You do not protect what is easily replaced. You rotate it. There is a certain type of woman men circle back to.
I'm not in the chat room. They gotta give me a minute.
With regret in their voice
but I'm here.
and humility they never practiced when it mattered. That woman was not nicer. She was not louder. She did not threaten or plead. She simply did not organize her life around a man who had not earned permanence. Her time had shape. Her attention had cost. Her absence had meaning. Men felt it immediately, even if they could not articulate it. They sensed that access to her required alignment, not excuses. Now let us talk about the women men come and go from. These women are often intelligent, intuitive, emotionally literate. They understand men so well that they excuse them into oblivion. They anticipate needs. They soften boundaries. They confuse empathy with surrender. They believe consistency will inspire commitment. Consistency does inspire something. Predictability. And predictability tells a man he can leave without penalty. Men do not feel guilty leaving women who make it easy. They feel relieved. Guilt requires the perception of loss. If he believes you will be there whenever he returns, he does not experience leaving as loss. He experiences it as a break. There is research that supports this dynamic, although watching human behavior for 5 minutes in a bar would suffice. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people value partners whose availability is selective rather than constant. Inconsistent availability paired with high-value traits increased perceived desirability and commitment effort. Translation: when access is not guaranteed, effort increases. When access is guaranteed, effort collapses. Men are not special in this regard. They are simply less ashamed of responding to it. What makes a man feel free to come and go is emotional elasticity without resistance. Every time he pulls away and you stretch to accommodate the distance, you send a signal. That signal says there is no urgency here, no pressure, no risk. Men interpret that as permission. The most dangerous phrase a woman can say in this context is, "I understand." Understanding is often the polite language of self-abandonment. Understanding teaches men that explanations will always override impact. He can disappear because he is stressed. He can disrespect because he is overwhelmed. He can deprioritize because he is figuring things out. At some point, his entire personality becomes a series of justifications, and your needs become optional background noise. Men do not come and go freely with women who interrupt that pattern early. Not with drama, with clarity. A woman who says less, but moves differently, rewires behavior faster than a woman who explains herself perfectly. Men watch actions. They listen to outcomes. Words are tolerated. Consequences are respected. Here is the brutal truth most women resist. If a man believes you need him more than he needs you, he will act accordingly. Need is not declared. It leaks. It leaks through availability, through tolerance, through how quickly you forgive what has not been repaired. Men can smell it. They do not need to be evil to exploit it. Gravity does not hate you when it pulls you down. It simply does what it does. The men who come and go freely are not confident. They are comfortable. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort breeds laziness. Laziness breeds entitlement. Entitlement breeds disappearance. This is where simps come into the story. Bless their soft hearts. Men who overinvest, over-explain, over-accommodate, teach women the same lesson women accidentally teach men. That access does not require discipline. That devotion is cheap. The genders mirror each other more than they would like to admit. The difference is that men are praised for walking away, while women are shamed for staying. Now let me pause here, because this is the point where half the audience gets defensive, and the other half leans in. If you are still watching, you already know which group you are in. Some of you are thinking, so what am I supposed to do? Play games. The word game is what people use when they notice power dynamics they do not understand. Life is not fair. Relationships are not democratic. They are negotiated environments. If you refuse to negotiate, you accept the default terms. And the default terms always favor the person who cares less. Playing. It is called surrender. Point where I tell you something that will make the comments section entertaining. Men respect women survive without them. The women who orbit them.
Yes.
Respect does not mean kindness. It means constraint. Men constrain themselves around women they respect. They check behavior. They manage impulses. They think twice before disappearing. Not because the woman asked them to. Because losing her would cost them something they cannot easily replace. In the middle of all this, let me address those of you who are tired of repeating the same cycle with different faces. This is exactly why one-on-one coaching exists. Not because you lack intelligence, because patterns live below intellect. In coaching, you learn to regulate your impulses in real time. You learn how to respond instead of react. You learn how to remove access without announcing it. How to create absence without hostility. How to stop rewarding minimum effort while staying emotionally coherent. That link is pinned in the comment section. It is for people who are done experimenting with their time. The landing page is finished. It will be added to the description and pinned comment. Go there. Read the free PDF. Watch the free video. Subscribe to the newsletter where I offer discounts on coaching orders. This is not motivation. This is infrastructure. This is what my weekly newsletter looks like. This is where I sometimes say things that YouTube doesn't let me say. I'll be sending 3 weekly. And make sure to check under promotions or spam folder for my emails. Back to the matter at hand. A man feels free to come and go when a woman's life does not punish his absence. That does not mean she sits at home crying. It means nothing. His environment changes when he leaves. temperature remains the same. The access remains the same. The tone remains the same. From his perspective, nothing was lost. So he leaves again. Contrast that with a woman who does not dramatize but recalibrates. When he disappears, she does not chase. When he returns, she does not reward. She does not punish. She adjusts. She becomes less available, less curious, less invested. Not as a tactic, as a response. Men understand response. They do not understand lectures.
Nope.
Men fear irrelevance more than rejection. Rejection still centers them. Irrelevance removes them from the story. When a woman stops orienting herself around his presence, something primitive wakes up in him. He either steps out. Either outcome is information. Here is the irony that makes me laugh every time. Men will say they hate pressure. They only stay where pressure exists. Not overt pressure. Existential pressure. The pressure of knowing that if they do not show up correctly, someone else eventually will. Men behave best in competitive environments. Comfort kills that competition. What makes a man feel free to come and go is the absence of stakes. Stakes are not created by ultimatums. They are created by standards that are enforced quietly. You do not threaten to leave. You become leavable. And then you demonstrate that you are willing to do so. The women who master this are not cruel. They are precise. They do not waste emotion on men who have not invested. They do not over-explain boundaries. They let men experience the cost of their choices without commentary. That is where the lesson lands. Men do not remember women who forgave everything. They remember women who changed the rules of engagement without warning and never looked back. If this is making you uncomfortable, good. Comfort has not been serving you. Before I continue, understand this. Once a man has learned he can come and go freely, reversing that dynamic is difficult, but not impossible. It requires consistency on your part and discomfort on his. Most women fail because they cannot tolerate the tension long enough for the pattern to reset. That is what separates amateurs from women who actually win. I will continue. Where we left off, I was talking about tension, not the manufactured tension of jealousy games and emotional stunts, but the quiet tension that appears when a woman stops cushioning a man from the consequences of his own indifference. This is the tension men respect, because it costs them something. It forces decision. And men, despite their reputation, hate indecision more than commitment. Indecision requires effort without reward. Commitment at least simplifies the board. A man who comes and goes freely is not exploring. He is sampling. Sampling requires no loyalty, no foresight, no sacrifice. Sampling thrives in environments where time is abundant and forgiveness is automatic. You want to know why he disappears for days and reappears like nothing happened? Because nothing happened. At least not to him. The emotional economy remained stable. The price of absence was zero. Men are accountants of consequence. They do not calculate feelings. They calculate outcomes. When absence produces warmth instead of distance, curiosity instead of withdrawal, reassurance instead of restraint, the ledger's clear. Leave whenever you like. Return whenever you're bored. Interest accrues without payment.
Yeah, I need to pay attention to this
Women who
one.
stop this pattern understand something most never learn. You cannot argue a man into valuing you. You must structure the environment so that devaluing you
I'll be over
becomes
there in a
inconvenient.
minute.
Men change behavior when behavior becomes
And why is the
deficient.
computer running so slow? It's
This is why speeches
off.
fail and silence
pissing
works.
me off.
Silence removes data.
Bullshit.
Men panic when data disappears. They need feedback to orient themselves.
Why is it
When
moving
you
so
stop providing emotional telemetry, they lose their map. They start checking their position. They start wondering where they stand. That is the moment the dynamic shifts. Let me tell you what not to do, without pretending I am concerned about your feelings. Do not announce your withdrawal. Do not explain your boundary evolution. Do not offer a post-mortem of the relationship. That satisfies your need to be understood and his need to feel absolved.
Yes.
You leave him smarter and yourself emptier. The women who leave marks on men do not teach lessons through dialogue. They teach lessons through absence. A man feels free to come and go when he believes he is the main character in your life. When your schedule flexes around his unpredictability. When your mood responds to his attention like a dimmer switch. When your plans remain provisional in case he suddenly resurfaces. That is not love. That is orbiting. Orbiting is comfortable for the center, miserable for the satellite. Here is something men rarely admit out loud. They do not want to be needed. They want to be chosen. Need feels like obligation. Choice feels like victory. When a woman's life is full and structured, her choice carries weight. When her life is empty and waiting, her choice feels inevitable. Men do not value inevitability. They exploit it. This is why women who actually win at this do not argue about exclusivity. They make exclusivity the logical outcome of consistent investment. A man stays because leaving no longer makes sense, not because he promised. Promises are cheap. Men break them with impressive creativity. The man who feels free to come and go often complains about women being too emotional. What he really means is that emotions are being expressed without leverage. Emotion without leverage is noise. Emotion with leverage is influence. Now let me address the audience that is still resisting this. You want to be chosen for who you are, not for how you manage access. A beautiful fantasy. Completely irrelevant. You are chosen for how you make a man feel about himself in your presence and in your absence.
Yep.
Presence gives him affirmation. Absence tests his imagination. Both matter. One without the other breeds contempt. This is where women who can play men earn my respect. They are not cruel. They are observant. They notice patterns early. They adjust before attachment turns into dependency. They do not reward potential. They reward consistency. They do not argue with excuses. They move according to behavior. Men sense this within weeks. They feel it in the way these women respond slower without apologizing. In the way plans are not rearranged last minute. In the way emotional labor is not provided on demand. Men either rise or retreat. Both outcomes save time. A man who comes and goes freely is often praised as mysterious. He is not mysterious. He is unregulated. Mystery requires discipline. This is just sloppiness enabled by tolerance. And yes, before
I'm so
someone
mad.
types
I think
furiously,
everyone's so
there are
in
men
New York.
who do not behave like this. They are not better men. They are men placed in environments that demand better behavior. Remove the environment and watch the magic disappear. This is why the fantasy of finding the right man without becoming the right environment is exactly that, a fantasy. If you are still watching, this is the part where you decide whether you want to understand this intellectually or apply it practically. Understanding without application is just entertainment. Application requires discomfort. It requires resisting the urge to fix, clarify, soothe, and chase. It requires letting silence stretch longer than feels polite. It requires trusting that your absence is louder than your explanation. This is also why one-on-one coaching exists. Because knowing what to do and doing it in real time are two different skills. In coaching, you are corrected in the moment. When you want to send the text, you don't. When you want to explain, you learn how to say less. When you want to panic, you learn how to wait. That link is pinned in the comment section. The landing page is in the description as well. Read the free PDF. Watch the video. Subscribe to the newsletter. I offer discounts there for coaching orders. And if you are serious, you already know why that matters. Now let's finish the properly. What makes a man feel like he can come and go freely is the absence of finality. Finality terrifies men because it forces identity. Am I in or am I out? When a woman keeps doors cracked open in the name of kindness, men keep one foot out in the name of freedom. The women men stay with are not endlessly forgiving. They are decisive. Decisiveness creates polarity. Men move toward polarity. They stagnate in ambiguity. If you want to end the pattern, you do not need to harden your heart. You need to harden your schedule. You need to make your time expensive. You need to let missed opportunities remain missed. You need to stop translating inconsistency into hidden depth. Men do not fall in love with comfort. They settle into it. They fall in love with women who make them feel slightly unstable, not because the woman is chaotic, but because her life does not revolve around his validation. A man who feels free to come and go is not attached. He is grazing. Stop being pasture. And now, because this is YouTube and not a monastery, let me say this plainly. If this video resonated, if it irritated you in a productive way, subscribe. You already know the algorithm rewards commitment. So do I. And I want you to comment. Tell me where you have seen this pattern play out. In your life, in your friends' lives, or in yourself. Where did you tolerate freedom that should have had a price? I read the comments. Patterns reveal themselves there. Lastly, pre-order the courses called The Feminine Game. They will be released by May 30th. The link is in the description and pinned comment. This is not about becoming colder. It is about becoming precise.
I'll be in the comment section in a minute.
Men come and go freely, only where they are allowed to.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and.
If you stop allowing it, the game changes. Whether he stays is no longer the point.
Point is, you need to make your life so full that anybody that becomes a part of your life is just an accessory to your life. They become a part of your world. Like that song. That's it. That's how life has to be. That's the wisdom that I have gained. And when you start with somebody, start with them light. Don't take the relationship so serious in the beginning. Don't take this so serious. Just start real light. Just keep it light. That's it. What's that song? Get light, get light, get light, get light. Yeah. That's how you got to do it when you get involved in a relationship with somebody. And then through time, you guys will begin to know and understand each other. Through time. And then through time, things will flow as it needs to be. But when you have your life full, it's not going to go that way. And that's the beauty of it. Another thing I would like to add for you is when you are saying that you like somebody, when you are saying you want this person to be a part of your life, you have to know what you're saying you want this person to be a part of in your life. Do you feel what I'm saying to you? One second. Bella? Me off. I'm not understanding why my computer's moving so slow. This shit is really pissing me off. You got to understand why you have that person in your life and why you want them there. And what part of your life are they going to play that you want them in your life for? And you have to be okay as a woman, this type of mentality. When I see somebody and I say, I'm interested in their business. So I say you literally have to have a business mind when you're out here. And I say, I like their business. Let me check them out. Let me read about them. Let me observe what they're about. After I do that, then when I reach out to them, I know what I want from them. I know what they can do for me. You have to think that same way when people come into your life. Everybody's going to get used. Everybody's going to be using you. You just have to not be misused. That's the point. Don't allow yourself to be misused. What in the fuck, bro? That's the key thing. And not only just that, you don't want your time wasted. Trust me, when you get older, you start thinking about the time, your time. And you don't want your time wasted by nobody. And so what point do they have in being in your time? I have my homie, right? I know I talk about her a lot. I talk about all of them, but she young. And I get it. She young. And she's in school. And these broads that she entertained are a complete waste of her time. And I try to tell her this. I do. I try to tell her that they are, and I try to, I let her live because I get it. She's young. I get it. But I try to get her to understand that these people are also, these weird bitches basically, are the same people that's going to get in the way of your, I'm saying she's still going to finish school, but I know what she's doing. You get what I'm saying? And so a lot of times she realized that these bitches are time wasters. And so she gets rid of them every time she realizes that this bitch is a time waster. This bitch is a time waster. And she gets rid of them every time. I'm getting pissed over here, y'all. Give me a second. Yo, I'm getting so pissed right now, y'all. Y'all don't understand. I did it from the phone, but I didn't. But for some reason, I'm thinking it's my space on this computer that's causing this shit. But this is really pissing me off because my computer does not move slow like this. I promise you. This motherfucking shit pissing me off, bro. I'm on the time shit here. Don't make no damn sense. Shouldn't take this long for me to order motherfucking Starbucks. Fuck. This ain't early that 1990s. I shouldn't be going through this shit. Why my shit moving so damn slow? I'm trying to get to my Starbucks. Trying to get my ice brown sugar oat milk shaking espresso out this motherfucker. That motherfucking trying to give me a hard motherfucking time. I need this motherfucker. This shit doing what the fuck it want to do. Pissing me off. Time about to be up. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into another video. No, let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and play this again.
If you have ever wondered why one man treats a woman like a hotel he can check into and out of whenever boredom strikes, while another man rearranges his life around a woman he is not even sure he deserves, you are already circling the truth. The difference is not his trauma.
Now this motherfucker already got my goddamn order.
Or the alignment of the moon.
My time is up. Now I'm
the
pissed.
difference is what the environment allows him to get away with. Men are not confused animals.
Damn, I'm pissed
they
right
are
now, bro.
opportunistic ones.
I gotta close out
they
and come
test,
back.
they observe, they adjust. And once they learn they can come and go freely, they will exercise that freedom with the enthusiasm of a child who discovered an unlocked liquor cabinet. Here's what makes people uncool. Men freedom. Women granted. Not consciously, not maliciously, but consistently. Freedom is not demanded, it is inferred. It is learned through repetition. A man shows up late. Nothing happens. He disappears for days. Nothing happens. He gives crumbs. They are accepted with gratitude. At some point he stops wondering if this behavior is acceptable and starts assuming it is expected. Congratulations. You have trained him like a dog who now sleeps on the couch and looks offended when you suggest otherwise. What makes a man feel like he can come and go freely is not that he is powerful. It is that he does not fear consequence. Fear is the regulator of behavior, not morality, not empathy, not potential. Fear of loss is a man to stay present when novelty calls his name. Remove that fear, and you remove the leash. Men speak endlessly about wanting peace. What they mean is access without obligation. They want the benefits of intimacy without a tax of responsibility. They want warmth without weight. A woman who provides, that becomes convenient. And convenience is lethal to desire. You do not protect what is easily replaced. You rotate it. There is a certain type of woman men circle back to, years later, with regret in their voice, the humility they never practiced when it mattered. That woman was not nicer. She was not louder. She did not threaten or plead. She simply did not organize her life around a man who had not earned permanence. Her time had shape. Her attention had cost. Her absence had meaning. Men felt it immediately, even if they could not articulate it. They sensed that access to her required alignment, not excuses. Now let us talk about the women men come and go from. These women are often intelligent, intuitive, emotionally literate. They understand men so well, that they excuse them into oblivion. They anticipate needs. They soften boundaries. They confuse empathy with surrender. They believe consistency will inspire commitment. Consistency does inspire something. Predictability. And predictability tells a man can leave without penalty. Men do not feel guilty leaving women who make it easy. They feel relieved. Guilt requires the perception of loss. If he believes you will be there whenever he returns, he does not experience leaving as loss. He experiences it as a break. There is research that supports this dynamic, although watching human behavior for 5 minutes in a bar would suffice. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found people value partners whose availability is selective rather than constant. Inconsistent availability paired with high-value traits increased perceived desirability and commitment effort. Translation: when access is not guaranteed, effort increases. When access is guaranteed, effort collapses. Men are not special in this regard. They are simply less ashamed of responding to it. What makes a man feel free to come and go is emotional elasticity without resistance. Every time he pulls away and you stretch to accommodate the distance, you send a signal. That signal says there is no urgency here, no pressure, no risk. Men interpret that as permission. The most dangerous phrase a woman can say in this context is, "I understand." Understanding is often the polite language of self-abandonment. Understanding teaches men that explanations will always override impact. He can disappear because he is stressed. He can disrespect because he is overwhelmed. He can deprioritize because he is figuring things out. At some point, his entire personality becomes a series of justifications, and your needs become optional background noise. Men do not come and go freely with women who interrupt that pattern early. Not with drama, with clarity. A woman who says less, but moves differently, rewires behavior faster than a woman who explains herself perfectly. Men watch actions. They listen to outcomes. Words are tolerated. Consequences are respected. Here is the brutal truth most women resist. If a man believes you need him more than he needs you, he will act accordingly. Need is not declared. It leaks. It leaks through availability, through tolerance, through how quickly you forgive what has not been repaired. Men can smell it. They do not need to be evil to exploit it. Gravity does not hate you when it pulls you down. It simply does what it does. The men who come and go freely are not confident. They are comfortable. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort breeds laziness. Laziness breeds entitlement. Entitlement breeds disappearance. This is where simps come into the story. Bless their soft hearts. Men who overinvest, over-explain, over-accommodate, teach women the same lesson women accidentally teach men. That access does not require discipline. That devotion is cheap. The genders mirror each other more than they would like to admit. Is that men are praised for walking away, while women are shamed for staying. Now let me pause here, because this is the point where half the audience gets defensive and the other half leans in. If you are still watching, you already know which group you are in. Some of you are thinking, so what am I supposed to do? Play games. The word game is what people use when they notice power dynamics they do not understand. Life is not fair. Relationships are not democratic. They are negotiated environments. If you refuse to negotiate, you accept the default terms. And the default terms always favor the person who cares less. Playing nothing is still playing something. It is called surrender. This is also the point where I tell you something that will make the comments section entertaining. Men respect women who can survive without them. They resent women who orbit them. Respect does not mean kindness. It means constraint. Men constrain themselves around women they respect. They check behavior. They manage impulses. They think twice before disappearing. Not because the woman asked them to, because losing her would cost them something they cannot easily replace. In the middle of all this, let me address those of you who are tired of repeating the same cycle with different faces. This is exactly why one-on-one coaching exists. Not because you lack intelligence, because patterns live below intellect. In coaching, you learn to regulate your impulses in real time. You learn how to respond instead of react. You learn how to remove access without announcing it, how to create absence without hostility, how to stop rewarding minimum effort while staying emotionally coherent. That link is pinned in the comment section. It is for people who are done experimenting with their time. The landing page is finished. It will be added to the description and pinned comment. Go there. Read the free PDF. Watch the free video. Subscribe to the newsletter where I offer discounts on coaching orders. This is not motivation. This is infrastructure. This is what my weekly newsletter looks like. This is where I sometimes say things that YouTube doesn't let me say. I'll be sending 3 weekly, and make sure to check under promotions or spam folder for my emails. Back to the matter at hand. A man feels free to come and go when a woman's life does not punish his absence. That does not mean she sits at home crying. It means nothing in his environment changes when he leaves. The emotional temperature remains the same. The access remains the same. The tone remains the same. From his perspective, nothing was lost. So he leaves again. Contrast that with a woman who does not dramatize but recalibrates. When he disappears, she does not chase. When he returns, she does not reward. She does not punish. She adjusts. She becomes less available, less curious, less invested. Not as a tactic, as a response. Men understand response.
There is something that goes on that everybody laughs at. There is a thing that goes on that everybody laughs at. And that is when they see that couple for years arguing, or you see that woman arguing with that man, and everybody laughs at that. And I always wonder why. Like, why is that woman who everybody's laughing and smiling with, that been with this man for years, and you know, and like everybody finds this to be cute? Why is it that that is the woman who gets the most mistreated and cheated on in the most disrespectful way, such as her coming home and another woman is naked in her crib type shit? Because she has not demanded anything, because she has constantly negotiated and went back and forth with this man, and she never set a boundary. And even if she tell him to get out, how do he know in his brain that she's serious about it? So she becomes his toy. He don't take her serious. So she's the most disrespected. So these type of behaviors is not okay for someone to be in a relationship with you and constantly be arguing, constantly be bickering, and constantly be going back and forth like this. He missed the turn. And constantly be doing that. Because if that's what's happening, then there again, this is a woman negotiating. This is a woman who is just, he don't care about her. I mean, that's what I was told in from my last relationship. He told me, he said, I just didn't give a damn no more. I didn't care. I just didn't care. And it was obvious that he didn't care no more. And once it gets to that point, that's the point when respect is just completely lost. And I got to a point I didn't care. And that's how everything happened. Everything felt about parts so very nasty and ugly the way that it did, is because we both just stopped caring, you know? And it doesn't have to get to that point if people know how to talk to each other and if people know how to have a relationship like an adult. People change, man.
More than rejection. Rejection still centers them. Irrelevance removes them from the story. When a woman stops orienting herself around his presence, something primitive wakes up in him. He either steps forward or steps out. Either outcome is information. Here is the irony that makes me laugh every time. Men will say they hate pressure, but they only stay where pressure exists. Not overt pressure, existential pressure. The pressure of knowing that if they do not show up correctly, someone else eventually will. Men behave best in competitive environments. Comfort kills that competition. What makes a man feel free to come and go is the absence of stakes. Stakes are not created by ultimatums. They are created by standards that are enforced quietly. You do not threaten to leave. You become leavable. And then you demonstrate that you are willing to do so. The women who master this are not cruel. They are precise. They do not waste emotion on men who have not invested. They do not over-explain boundaries. They let men experience the cost of their choices without commentary. That is where the lesson lands. Men do not remember women who forgave everything. They remember women who changed the rules of engagement without warning and never looked back. If this is making you uncomfortable, good. Comfort has not been serving you. And before I continue, understand this. Once a man has learned he can come and go freely, reversing that dynamic is difficult, but not impossible. It requires consistency on your part and discomfort on his. Most women fail because they cannot tolerate the tension long enough for the pattern to reset. That is what separates amateurs from women who actually win. I will continue. Where we left off, I was talking about tension, not the manufactured tension of jealousy games and emotional stunts, but the quiet tension that appears when a woman stops cushioning a man from the consequences of his own indifference. This is the tension men respect, because it costs them something. It forces decision. And men, despite their reputation, hate indecision more than commitment. Indecision requires effort without reward. Commitment at least simplifies the board. A man who comes and goes freely is not exploring. He is sampling. Sampling requires no loyalty, no foresight, no sacrifice. Sampling thrives in environments where time is abundant and forgiveness is automatic. You want to know why he disappears for days and reappears like nothing happened? Because nothing happened. At least not to him. The emotional economy remained stable. The price of absence was zero. Men are accountants of consequence. They do not calculate feelings. They calculate outcomes. When absence produces warmth instead of distance, curiosity instead of withdrawal, reassurance instead of restraint, the ledger's clear. Leave whenever you like. Return whenever you're bored. Interest accrues without payment. Women who stop this pattern understand something most never learn. You cannot argue a man into valuing you. You must structure the environment so that devaluing you becomes inconvenient. Men change behavior when behavior becomes inefficient. This is why speeches fail and silence works. Silence removes data. Men panic when data disappears. They need feedback to orient themselves. When you stop providing emotional telemetry, they lose their map. They start checking their position. They start wondering where they stand. That is the moment the dynamic shifts. Let me tell you what not to do, without pretending I am concerned about your feelings. Do not announce your withdrawal. Do not explain your boundary evolution. Do not offer a post-mortem of the relationship. That satisfies your need to be understood and his need to feel absolved. You leave him smarter and yourself emptier. The women who leave marks on men do not teach lessons through dialogue. They teach lessons through absence. A man feels free to come and go when he believes he is the main character in your life. When your schedule flexes around his unpredictability. When your mood responds to his attention like a dimmer switch. When your plans remain provisional in case he suddenly resurfaces. That is not love. That is orbiting. Orbiting is comfortable for the center, miserable for the satellite. Here is something men rarely admit out loud. They do not want to be needed. They want to be chosen. Need feels like obligation. Choice feels like victory. When a woman's life is full and structured, her choice carries weight. Her life is empty and waiting, her choice feels inevitable. Men do not value inevitability. They exploit it. This is why women who actually win at this do not argue about exclusivity. They make exclusivity the logical outcome of consistent investment. A man stays because leaving no longer makes sense, not because he promised. Promises are cheap. Men break them with impressive creativity. The man who feels free to come and go often complains about women being too emotional. What he really means is that emotions are being expressed without leverage. Emotion without leverage is noise. Emotion with leverage is influence. Now let me address the audience that is still resisting this. You want to be chosen for who you are, not for how you manage access. A beautiful fantasy, completely irrelevant. You are chosen for how you make a man feel about himself in your presence and in your absence. Presence gives him affirmation. Absence tests his imagination. Both matter. One without the other breeds contempt. This is where women who can play men earn my respect. They are not cruel. They are observant. They notice patterns early. They adjust before attachment turns into dependency. They do not reward potential. They reward consistency. They do not argue with excuses. They move according to behavior. Men sense this within weeks. They feel it in the way these women respond slower without apologizing. In the way plans are not rearranged last minute. In the way emotional labor is not provided on demand. Men either rise or retreat. Both outcomes save time. A man who comes and goes freely is often praised as mysterious. He is not mysterious. He is unregulated. Mystery requires discipline. This is just sloppiness enabled by tolerance. And yes, before someone types furiously, there are men who do not behave like this. They are not better men. They are men placed in environments that demand better behavior. Remove the environment and watch the magic disappear. This is why the fantasy of finding the right man without becoming the right environment is exactly that, a fantasy. If you are still watching, this is the part where you decide whether you want to understand this intellectually or apply it practically. Understanding without application is just entertainment. Application requires discomfort. It requires resisting the urge to fix, clarify, soothe, and chase. It requires letting silence stretch longer than feels polite. It requires trusting that your absence is louder than your explanation. This is also why one-on-one coaching exists. Because knowing what to do and doing it in real time are two different skills. In coaching, you are corrected in the moment. When you want to send the text, you don't. When you want to explain, you learn how to say less. When you want to panic, you learn how to wait. That link is pinned in the comment section. The landing page is in the description as well. Read the free PDF. Watch the video. Subscribe to the newsletter. I offer discounts there for coaching orders. And if you are serious, you already know why that matters. Now let's finish this properly. What makes a man feel like he can come and go freely is the absence of finality. Finality terrifies men because it forces identity. Am I in or am I out? When a woman keeps doors cracked open in the name of kindness, men keep one foot out in the name of freedom. The women men stay with are not endlessly forgiving. They are decisive. Decisiveness creates polarity. Men move toward polarity. They stagnate in ambiguity. If you want to end the pattern, you do not need to harden your heart. You need to harden your schedule. You need to make your time expensive. You need to let missed opportunities remain missed. You need to stop translating inconsistency into hidden depth. Men do not fall in love with comfort. They settle into it. They fall in love with women who make them feel slightly unstable. Not because the woman is chaotic, but because her life does not revolve around his validation. A man who feels free to come and go is not attached. He is grazing. Stop being pasture. And now, because this is YouTube and not a monastery, let me say this plainly. If this video resonated, if it irritated you in a productive way, subscribe. You already know the algorithm rewards commitment. So do I. And I want you to comment. Tell me where you have seen this pattern play out. In your life, in your friends' lives, or in yourself. Where did you tolerate freedom that should have had a price? I read the comments. Patterns reveal themselves there. Lastly, pre-order the courses called The Feminine Game. They will be released by May 30th. The link is in the description and pinned comment. This is not about becoming colder. It is about becoming precise. Men come and go freely, only where they are allowed to. If you stop allowing it, the game changes. Whether he stays is no longer the point.
We're going to close it here. It's been fun. I'll be back later.